They sold the items before the auction even began. Isn't Solomon breaking the rules by doing this? I'm sorry, that buyer has a rather special identity. Ellie looked at me nervously. What should we do? We had searched for the ice jade flower for so many years, and it had finally been within our grasp. Yet someone had suddenly swooped in and taken it. And there was also a 117. That man would never allow something he had set his sights on to be taken by someone else. I flexed my wrist, my gaze turning cold. If I can't buy them, I'll take them by force. No matter what, I must obtain those items. After the auction ended, I was about to find someone and ask who had bought those items, when Solomon's second-in-command approached me first. Mr. Phantom Hawk, this is the buyer's contact information for those items. If you truly want them, you can contact the buyer. If the price is right, perhaps the buyer will resell them to you. I looked at him in surprise. Solomon had always kept its buyer's information strictly confidential, unless the buyer specifically requested otherwise. I took the business card and left. The moment I saw the name and phone number on it, I froze. Ellie rolled her eyes at the man and lowered her voice. Maybe those two items are still in Solomon's possession and were never sold at all. Perhaps they're doing this deliberately to drive up the price. GY, why aren't you saying anything? She glanced at the business card in my hand, and her eyes nearly popped out. Could it just be someone with the same name? It's her. I gripped the business card tightly and gritted my teeth. I knew Jia Yunshu's phone number well enough to recite it backward. This was indeed her phone number. She was the one who had bought the ice jade flower and A117. Ellie couldn't help complaining. Damn, that woman just won't leave you alone. I really don't understand. How did she know we were here? And how did she know what I wanted to buy? Ellie rested her chin on her hand. Could she have planted a tracker or a listening device on you? Impossible. If that were true, she would have caught me at the boxing arena last night. I suppressed the irritation in my heart and took out my phone to call her. However, an automated message said that her phone was switched off. She had someone give me her number, yet she had switched off her phone. She was clearly messing with me on purpose. Suppressing my anger, I called Yang Ting instead. As Jia Yunshu's assistant, Yang Ting kept her phone on 24 hours a day. Hello. I tried to keep my voice calm. Put Jia Yunshu on the phone. Yang Ting immediately replied, Miss Xia has already gone to bed. She asked me to tell you that she'll be waiting for you at the airport at 6 tomorrow morning. With that, Yang Ting hung up. When I called again, she refused to answer. Now I understood. Jia Yunshu wanted me to walk straight into her trap. I had to admit that she had made the right move. With those two items in her possession, I would definitely go to her. In the presidential suite on the hotel's top floor, Jia Yunshu stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, watching the waves roll onto the distant beach. A faint, sinister smile curled across her pale lips. Since she couldn't catch GY, she would find a way to make him come to her willingly. Shen Qianing entered from outside and told her everything that had happened at the auction. Interestingly, a painting also appeared at the auction. The person in it looked a lot like GY. In the end, someone bought it for 13 million. Moreover, they seemed to have come solely for that painting. They left right after winning it. A dark shadow fell across Jia Yunshu's cold face. Who was the buyer? Solomon refuses to reveal any information about them. They refused to disclose it, but I found out that the helicopter they took had an F-country military registration. Jia Yunshu frowned even more deeply, feeling a pang of jealousy. That person had to be one of GY's admirers. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent over 10 million on his portrait. That damned man. Why did he have admirers wherever he went? Shen Qianing deliberately fanned the air in front of her nose and teased. It's only a painting. Is it worth getting this jealous over? Jia Yunshu glared at her and turned to enter the bedroom. The days were long and the nights short on Fulan Island. The sky was already bright just after 5. Without wearing my mask, I arrived at the island's only airport right on time. At that moment, a white helicopter was undergoing its final inspection. It was scheduled to take off in 10 minutes. Jia Yunshu looked at me, trying her best to restrain her emotions. I stopped 5 or 6 steps away from Jia Yunshu. The moment Jia Yunshu opened her mouth, she knew she had lost. Unable to hold back any longer, She rushed forward and hugged me tightly. We had only been apart for 3 short days. Yet she felt as though we had been separated for 3 years. She had missed me so much she was going crazy. No one had ever made her lose control like this. I looked at her and was about to speak when Jia Yunshu's lips pressed against mine. A sharp pain shot through my lips, and I quickly tasted blood. As if punishing me, Jia Yunshu bit down on my lips. I really want to kill you. Her voice was low and sorrowful. I raised my chin and smiled arrogantly. Could you really bear to? Jia Yunshu's eyes darkened. This man knew she couldn't bear to hurt him, which was why he dared to act so recklessly. Then she lowered her head and bit hard into my neck. The pain nearly brought tears to my eyes. For some reason, my vision began to blur. Then everything went black, and I fainted. On a distant rooftop, Ellie held a pair of binoculars and watched the helicopter carrying Jia Yunshu and me. She kept shaking her head. I have a feeling GY will be devoured so thoroughly this time that not even his bones will remain. Zushi wasn't particularly worried. Don't worry. Jia Yunshu probably won't hurt boss. Otherwise, she wouldn't have risked her life to take a bullet for him. Ellie snorted. Don't worry, my ass. You know exactly who GY is. If that person finds out that he and Jia Yunshu are this entangled, do you think she'll let it go? Zushi rested his chin on his hand, looking thoughtful. It can't be that serious, can it? Hearing that, Ellie patted Zushi on the shoulder and chuckled. Their relationship is far more complicated than you imagine. With that, they turned and headed back inside. Let's go. Don't forget that GY left something for you to test. When I woke up, I found myself lying on a bed. A woman's voice came from above me. You're awake. I responded instinctively. Then suddenly sensed something was wrong. I abruptly sat up and realized I was on a plane. Jia Yunshu, where are you taking me? I glared fiercely at her. She had actually dared to knock me unconscious. Jia Yunshu replied calmly, we'll arrive in Kyoto in a few hours. Back to Kyoto. I looked at her coldly and reminded her, Jia Yunshu were already divorced. At the mention of the divorce, Jia Yunshu was filled with anger. You slept with me. Then turned around and dismissed me with the divorce certificate. GY, you're truly a heartless bastard. I laughed in anger. Jia Yunshu, stop acting like the victim after getting what you wanted. Don't forget that you were the one who asked for the divorce. Jia Yunshu frowned. GY, I also told you seriously that I no longer wanted a divorce. I gave a dry laugh, my gaze growing even colder. Jia Yunshu, to people who don't love each other, will only torment one another by staying together. I've let you go. Why won't you let me go? Jia Yunshu steadied herself. GY, didn't you love me very much before? I looked at the white clouds drifting outside the window. Not anymore. Falling in love with someone who doesn't love you back is an incredibly painful thing. I'm afraid of pain, so I don't want to torture myself anymore. Jia Yunshu suppressed her anger. Not anymore. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The cabin fell silent. Just when I thought Jia Yunshu would lose her temper, her gentle voice came instead. It's okay. If you don't love me anymore, then you don't. As long as you stay by my side obediently. A teasing smile curled across my lips. Jia Yunshu, have you lost your mind? Jia Yunshu held my hand. GY, I have more than enough time and patience. I'll wait for you to fall in love with me again. When you love me again, will you remarry me? I twitched the corner of my mouth. Only if I die once more, or in the next life. Jia Yunshu smiled. If you want to die again, I can help you. I rolled my eyes at her. I could tell that Jia Yunshu had become obsessed with me. That was dangerous. I decided to change the subject. The 2 items you bought from Solomon, I'll pay you triple for them. Those 2 items are extremely important to me. I have to get them. Jia Yunshu glared at me coldly. I'm not short of money. Then, what do you want? Jia Yunshu snorted proudly. Don't you already know? Marry me. Everything I own will become yours. I couldn't argue with that. At that moment, Jia Yunshu spoke again. GY. How about we make a deal? I was instantly intrigued. What kind of deal? Jia Yunshu smiled. Stay by my side obediently. Within 1 year, whether you fall in love with me or not, I'll give you the ice jade flower. I shook my head. 1 year is too long. 3 months, Jia Yunshu said coldly. 6 months. That's my final concession. I thought for a moment. Fine, 6 months it is. I can wait. I also want a 117th century, I added. Jia Yunshu shook her head. Her tone was firm. I can't give you a 117th century. I looked at Jia Yunshu in confusion. Why? Jia Yunshu pinched my chin. GY, don't be too greedy. I shrugged indifferently. As long as the items are with her, I'll find a way to get them. 3 hours later. The plane landed at Kyoto International Airport. Returning to the Eugene Villa, where I had lived for 2 years, I couldn't describe how I felt. My room looked exactly the same as when I had left, except that the walk-in closet now contained many luxury watches, clothes, and shoes. The butler stood beside me with a smile. Sir, Miss called a few days ago and instructed us to prepare these for you. If you don't like them, we can invite a designer tomorrow to make custom ones for you. I pursed my lips. It seemed Jia Yunshu had planned all along to bring me back. After running away again and again, I still couldn't escape. The palm of her hand. After taking a shower, the woman on the other end of the phone sounded clearly displeased. You can't even handle a minor setback? I replied calmly, I can. Just give me some time. Besides, you don't need it urgently. The woman acknowledged softly. I heard that Solomon's auction included the ice jade flower. Did you get it? I answered awkwardly, not yet. The woman on the other end sounded even more displeased. Useless. You're hopeless. I snapped back without hesitation. Then why don't you come yourself? If Jia Yunshu hadn't shown up halfway through, those 2 items would have already been mine. The woman fell silent for a moment, then said leisurely, My dear husband, let me remind you, you're running out of time. He can wait, but I can't. My eyes flickered, and I tightened my grip on the phone. I know. Meanwhile, inside an ancient castle beneath the Lian's mountains across the ocean, a tall, slender woman stood on the spacious balcony. The night breeze drifted by, carrying a trace of chill. Moonlight bathed her figure, casting her in a warm, soft glow. She looked noble and elegant. The woman lowered her phone, thinking about what I had just said. Her ruby-red eyes gleamed with a cold light. He has always acted decisively. A minor obstacle wouldn't stop him. Something isn't right. Bingling, have someone investigate. I want to know everything that has happened around GY. Over the past 2 years, Bingling hesitated. If he finds out you're investigating him, he won't be happy. The woman turned around. Her breathtakingly beautiful face wore a faint smile. So, you'd rather make me unhappy? Bingling immediately shook her head. I'll do it right away. I can afford to offend anyone but never him. When we returned to Jia Yunshu's Eugene Villa, before we even entered the house, a servant told us that a guest had arrived. Jia Yunshu and I walked inside and saw Zhang Xinru sitting on the sofa drinking tea. Miss Zhang, why aren't you keeping watch at the hospital? Be careful, or someone might take him away while you're gone. I teased her sarcastically. Zhang Xinru stood up. Mr. Ji, all of my people have already withdrawn from the hospital. Jia Yunshu looked at me, her eyes filled with tenderness. I never intended to hurt you. Nor did I truly intend to use him to threaten you. She knew very well how important Grandpa Ji was to me. Using him to threaten me would only make GY hate her. With the ice jade flower in her possession, Jia Yunshu was no longer afraid that I would leave her again. I couldn't stand the way Jia Yunshu was looking at me, so I looked away. Zhang Xinru looked at Jia Yunshu. I'm here to collect something. Jia Yunshu nodded. Come with me. They went to the upstairs study. Jia Yunshu opened a hidden compartment behind the bookcase and took out a silver briefcase. Inside were 3 test tubes containing red, blue, and colorless transparent liquids respectively. Zhang Xinru asked, Has it been verified? This substance appeared on the black market before, but every sample turned out to be fake. Jia Yunshu nodded. Anything auctioned by Solomon couldn't possibly be fake. Zhang Xinru was finally relieved. She closed the case. Then I'll take it with me. Jia Yunshu asked, How soon can you get results? That's impossible to estimate. I'll inform you as soon as I have any results. Before leaving, Zhang Xinru suddenly asked. What's the situation between you and GY now? Jia Yunxi replied calmly. I'm pursuing him. The corner of Zhang Xinru's mouth twitched. I sat in the living room with my laptop, working on some documents, when I heard footsteps coming from upstairs. I turned around and saw Zhang Xinru coming downstairs carrying a briefcase. Miss Zhang, what's inside that case? I was a little curious. Zhang Xinru still wore her usual fake smile, looking like a sly fox. Nothing, just some documents. I gave a faint acknowledgement and lowered my head to look at the computer again. Only after Zhang Xinru left did I raise my head. My eyes filled with doubt. Documents. Would documents need to be stored in a shock-proof security case, unless it contains something fragile, such as A117? If what Zhang Xinru had been carrying really was A117, then things would become difficult. I had originally planned to wait until Jia Yunshu lowered her guard and steal it from her. But now that it had fallen into Zhang Xinru's hands, it would be much harder for me to act. It seemed I needed to find someone to help me. After thinking for a moment, I opened my email and sent Qiao Qiao a message. She quickly replied, okay. Only then did I feel relieved. I hadn't logged into my email for a long time. So many messages had accumulated in my inbox. I began opening them one by one. One email in particular caught my attention. It had been sent by a doctor from F country whom I had worked with before. He wanted me to assist with the patient's surgery. After giving it some thought, I sent him my phone number. I would be staying in Kyoto for a while anyway, so finding something to occupy myself with wasn't a bad idea. I soon received a call from him. It wasn't convenient to discuss the patient's condition over the phone, so we arranged to meet the following day. The person I was meeting was named Huang Linlin. She was a renowned surgeon in Huaxia, especially skilled in neurology. She was currently the director of neurosurgery at Kyoto Medical College. We agreed to meet at a cafe near Huang Linlin's hospital. When I arrived, I had just gotten out of the car when I ran into someone I couldn't stand, Song Mingyu. He had just come out of the shopping mall. He greeted me, but I had no intention of wasting time on him. I walked straight into the mall. He couldn't believe I had ignored him. Song Mingyu stared at me with hatred in his eyes. Suddenly thinking of something, he followed me. Before long, he saw me enter a cafe and meet a woman. Song Mingyu was delighted. He quickly took out his phone and began photographing us. To make the photos more convincing, he deliberately chose certain angles and took several particularly intimate-looking pictures. Yesterday, he had heard Aunt Jo say that Jia Yunshu had actually argued with Uncle Jia because of me, and even warned him not to touch me. It seemed GY's importance in Jia Yunshu's heart was far greater than he had imagined. That was something he absolutely couldn't allow. He had liked Jia Yunshu since childhood, and had loved her for so many years. What right did GY have to compete with him? He wondered what expression Ms. Yunshu would make when she saw these photos. Song Mingyu sneered and sent the photos he had just taken to Jia Yunshu. After sending the photos, he sent her a voice message as well. Ms. Yunshu, I just saw GY shopping with a woman at the mall. They seemed very close. At the Jia group, Jia Yunshu sat behind her desk, working on her computer. Her phone chimed several times in succession. She thought the messages were from me, but when she picked up her phone, she saw that they were from Song Mingyu. After reading his messages, Jia Yunshu immediately radiated a chilling aura. After sending Ellie and Zushi away, I had actually gotten involved with another woman. That damned, shameless man. At the cafe, after Huang Linglin and I met, we exchanged a few pleasantries before getting down to business. The patient under Huang Linglin's care was named Tang Heng. He was a retired soldier. He had been wounded in the spine by a gunshot while on an overseas mission. Although the bullet had been successfully removed, the spinal nerves had been damaged, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. Half a month ago, the patient could still walk with the support of a wall, but now he could barely stand. I reviewed the patient's medical records. His condition wasn't particularly difficult for me. I was 90% confident I could perform the surgery successfully. So I said, send another copy of the medical records to my email. I'll be the lead surgeon for this operation. Huang Linlin looked deeply grateful. Professor Ji, thank you on behalf of the patient. To her mentor and trusted friend, Huang Linlin had the utmost respect. Knowing I would lead the surgery, she was completely at ease. I smiled faintly. Don't thank me. After all, I'm getting paid for this too. That afternoon, Wine Linlin treated me to a simple meal. After lunch, I returned to Eugene Villa. The moment I entered, I saw Jia Yunshu sitting on the sofa in the living room. You're back? When I left this morning, she had said she'd be working overtime and would come home late. Jia Yunshu slowly lifted her eyes, staring at me with a chilling gaze. Where did you go? I answered casually. I met a friend. Jia Yunshu asked leisurely. A woman? I raised an eyebrow and nodded. I immediately sensed that something was off with Jia Yunshu tonight. There was a cold glint in her eyes. That made me feel uncomfortable. What's wrong? Jia Yunshu stepped forward and hugged me tightly. GY, during these 6 months you promised me, you could only stay by my side. I pushed her away at once. I agreed to stay by your side. For 6 months, not to become your outlet for frustration. Jia Yunshu grabbed my hand. Why? You're the one who came after me first. Jia Yunshu had already completely lost her reason. Now, the mere thought of me being with another woman drove her nearly insane. During our 2 years of marriage, you chased after me for 2 years. As she spoke, she bit my lip. The metallic taste of blood spread across our tongues. I snapped back to my senses. Unable to bear it any longer, I violently shook off Jia Yunshu's hand. Jia Yunshu, what gives you the right to treat me like this? Jia Yunshu froze for a moment. Yes, I chased you for 2 years. But how did you treat me during those 2 years? Just to see you once. I waited outside your company all night in the middle of winter. Yet you wouldn't even spare me a glance. To make you a homemade lunch. I spent an entire month learning to cook. Every one of my fingers was either burned or cut. But the meal I finally made ended up in the trash. I heard on TV that women liked obedient men. So no matter what you asked of me, even if I hated it, I still did as you said, to make you happy. Even when you scolded me, or the servants at the old mansion bullied me until I was hospitalized, I never complained to you once. Jia Yunshu, I loved you so much. I would have gladly torn out my own heart and laid it before you. But again and again, you trampled my sincerity under your feet. I shoved Jia Yunshu away and pointed at her, shouting, what right do you have now to ask me to keep loving you? What makes you think you deserve that? Jia Yunshu stood there stunned. She recalled every single thing I'd said. I had once loved her so deeply. Why didn't I love her anymore? She gently touched my face. GY, since you've awakened my interest, then you'll have to take responsibility for it. I frowned immediately. I knew Jia Yunshu could never truly fall in love with me. What she felt for me was nothing more than fascination. After I regained my memories, my personality changed completely. That's why she found me interesting. That's why she kept clinging to me, suppressing the stabbing pain in my chest. I gritted my teeth and said, don't even dream about it. Then I turned and walked away. GY, Jia Yunshu stepped forward to stop me. I shot her a fierce glare and shouted, get lost. Get out of my sight. She froze where she stood, watching me walk away. For a fleeting moment, she saw despair in my eyes. It felt as though a gaping hole had been torn open in Jia Yunshu's heart. Countless emotions surged through her. Meanwhile, I reached a deserted corner, clutched my chest, and collapsed to the ground. My heart hurt so much. It hurt so badly I could barely breathe. The agonizing pain in my chest was unbearable. Suddenly, a torrential downpour began. Thunder roared and lightning flashed. Curled up on the ground, I knelt as the excruciating pain in my heart sent uncontrollable spasms through my body. I knew it was whatever was in my blood acting up again. This attack was even more violent than the last. The pain was indescribable. It spread outward from my heart, tormenting every nerve in my body. It was worse than being flayed alive. I wanted to call for help, only to realize I'd rushed out without my phone. With another deafening crack of thunder, the rain poured down even harder. The pain only intensified, yet my mind remained unnervingly clear. That was the cruel nature of this poison. The greater the pain, the clearer your mind, making the torment even more unbearable. A car approached in the distance. It stopped about a dozen meters away. Professor G, are you all right? It was Huang Linlin. One look at me told her something was terribly wrong. She immediately rushed over and helped me to my feet. I'll take you to the hospital. I struggled to reach out and grab her arm. Parting my lips, I said, the hospital won't help. It's this poison. Huang Linlin looked at me with a conflicted expression. In the end, she respected my wishes. She didn't take me to the hospital. Instead, she brought me home. As soon as we arrived, Huang Linlin wrapped me in dry towels. She took out the medical kit and was about to examine me. Suddenly, I opened my eyes. Professor G. Huang Linlin dropped what she was holding with a loud clatter. My eyes were bloodshot. The whites completely stained red. Sorry. I closed my eyes. My body trembled, and I'd already bitten my lower lip until it bled. Tramadyl hydrochloride. Give me the shots. Huang Linlin stared at me in shock. Tramadyl hydrochloride was a powerful painkiller, normally used only for cancer patients, and the maximum dose at one time was a single injection. Professor G, I'll give you one shot first. Although she knew I was a doctor too, and understood medication dosages, she still couldn't help worrying. She administered the first injection. After a while, at my insistence, she gave me a second shot. Even after 2 injections of the powerful painkiller, I didn't feel much better. The pain was still there, though it was no longer getting worse. Huang Linlin took my temperature. It was only 30 for C. That wasn't normal. My blood pressure was normal, but my heart rate was abnormally fast. Seeing my pale face and the agony I was enduring, Huang Linlin grew even more worried. Professor G, I really should take you to the hospital. The moment she finished speaking, the housekeeper hurried upstairs. Miss Jia is here. My brows twitched. Why was Jia Yunshu here? Huang Linlin frowned. She wasn't close to Jia Yunshu. Why would she come at this hour? Just as Huang Linlin stood up, I grabbed her hand. Don't tell her. With Jia Yunshu's personality, if she finds out I've been poisoned, she'll keep digging until she gets the truth. She might even investigate what happened 5 years ago. I didn't want her to know. Just tell her I caught a cold. Please. Every word I spoke made the pain even worse. Huang Linlin nodded. All right. I let my hand fall weakly. Those few sentences had drained all my strength. Huang Linlin was about to head downstairs when the bedroom door was pushed open. The next moment, Jia Yunshu strode in, radiating icy fury. It had started raining, and I hadn't taken my phone. Worried about me, she had chased after me, only to see another woman helping me into a car. It was the same woman I'd met that afternoon. Jia Yunshu struggled to suppress the urge to hit someone. Her gaze passed Huang Linlin and landed on me lying in bed. I was soaked through, my face pale as paper, my body trembling slightly, as though I were enduring unbearable pain. Seeing me in that condition, Jia Yunshu forgot all about the anger boiling inside her. She rushed straight over. The moment she grabbed my hand, I convulsed. It hurts. Huang Linlin tried to stop her, but Jia Yunshu shoved her aside. Jia Yunshu shot her a cold glance. You touched my man? Huang Linlin clenched her fists. Ms. Jia, I didn't hurt him. He got caught in the rain and came down with a cold. Jia Yunshu helped me to my feet. She looked at Huang Linlin with obvious hostility. Stay away from him. With that, she took me away. Back at Eugene Villa, Jia Yunshu immediately sent for the family doctor. I stopped her in a hoarse voice. There's no need. Dr. Huang already examined me. I'll be fine after a night's rest. Jia Yunshu ignored me and still called the doctor. Why is your body so cold? She removed my soaking wet clothes and filled the bathtub with hot water. She helped me into the tub. Then she embraced me from behind. Even though we were so close, I kept my eyes shut. I was afraid my blood-red eyes would frighten Jia Yunshu, so I didn't dare open them. Perhaps the 2 painkiller injections were finally taking effect. The pain in my heart gradually began to ease. But behind me, Jia Yunshu's expression suddenly changed. A familiar sensation surged through her. An overwhelming wave of heat rose violently from deep within her body, making her heart race and her breathing quicken. Thump, thump. Her heartbeat grew faster and faster. It was that feeling again. Half an hour later, she helped me into my pajamas. Jia Yunshu took a cold shower, then finally let the family doctor examine me. Ms. Jia, Mr. G isn't in any serious condition. If you're still worried, I can draw some blood for further testing. Sitting beside the bed, Jia Yunshu frowned deeply. Then why is his face so pale? Still, she nodded. Go ahead. He wasn't acting normally tonight. She couldn't shake her unease. The more thorough the examination, the more reassured she'd be. When I woke up again, it was already the next morning. I sat up and checked the time. It was 9:30 a.m. Only a little over 10 hours had passed since my poison flared up last night. In the past, even after taking painkillers, that agonizing pain would torment me for a full 24 hours. Only after that would the pain gradually subside, until it disappeared completely. Why did it fade so quickly this time? Maybe it was because Dr. Huang had used a stronger painkiller last night. I didn't dwell on it and went to wash up when I saw my eyes had returned to their normal color. I breathed a sigh of relief. Looks like I made it through this episode. Downstairs at breakfast, only Aunt Zhang, the housekeeper, was there. She told me Jia Yunshu had stayed by my side all night. I only remembered her carrying me into the bathroom, helping me soak in a hot bath, and kissing me. After that, I fell asleep. I couldn't remember anything else. While eating breakfast, I suddenly noticed a tiny needle mark on the vein near my left elbow. A puncture there usually meant blood had been drawn. The moment I realized that, I tensed up. Aunt Zhang, did the family doctor draw my blood last night? Aunt Zhang nodded. Yes. Ms. Jia was worried. So she asked the doctor to give you a full physical examination. I immediately put down my chopsticks and rushed upstairs. Yunshu's family doctor was Chen Zhou, the president of Kyoto Medical University. Since he had drawn my blood last night, he would definitely send it to the university lab for testing. I found Huang Linlin's number in my contacts and called her. As soon as the call connected, before I could speak, Huang Linlin anxiously asked, Professor G, are you all right? I'm fine, I answered immediately. Sorry for worrying you last night. Dr. Huang, I need a favor. On the other end of the line, Huang Linlin didn't hesitate. Go ahead, she said. I gripped the phone tightly, my palms drenched in sweat. President Chen Zhou from your medical university drew my blood last night for testing. Huang Linlin worked at the medical university and had unrestricted access to the laboratory. If she was willing to help, she should be able to swap out my blood test results. After I finished, Huang Linlin fell silent for a moment. All right, I'll help you. Thank you, Dr. Huang. After hanging up, I slumped weakly onto the sofa. I just hoped no one had worked the night shift in the hospital lab last night. Whatever was in my blood must never be discovered by Jia Yunshu. But what if the test results were already out and had been delivered to Jia Yunshu? I still couldn't put my mind at ease. So I went straight to Jia Yunshu's company. At the Jia group, Jia Yunshu was in a meeting. I didn't get to see her, but I did run into Song Mingyu in her office. What are you doing here? Song Mingyu glared at me with venom in his eyes, making no attempt to hide his hatred. Early this morning, Yang Ting had called to say Jia Yunshu wanted to see him. He had been excited ever since, never expecting me to show up too. I shot him a glance. Obviously, I'm here to see Jia Yunshu. Who else would I be here for? You. Song Mingyu snorted. Yunshu doesn't love you. The more you cling to her, the more she'll despise you. I smiled faintly. She doesn't love me, and she doesn't love you either. So what exactly are you so proud of? Song Mingyu's face turned pale with anger. If it weren't for you, Yunshu would have fallen in love with me. If I hadn't suddenly appeared, he would already be the Jia family's son-in-law. Song Mingyu calmed himself down and looked at me. I've known Yunshu for over 10 years. She has feelings for me. She asked me to come to the company today. She said she had something very important to tell me. He was convinced Jia Yunshu had seen the photos he sent yesterday, recognized Ji Huai's true colors, and was finally ready to follow her parents' wishes and marry him. The smile on Song Mingyu's face grew wider. Believe it or not, with just one word from me, Yunshu will have you thrown out. I looked at him calmly, as if he were an idiot. Who do you think you are? Not long after, Jia Yunshu returned to her office after the meeting. She clearly hadn't expected me to come, and froze for a moment. Then she frowned. I didn't miss the expression on her face. She was probably still angry about what happened last night. I stood up, about to speak, when Jia Yunshu pointed at the door and said coldly, "Get out." Song Mingyu was overjoyed. He hadn't even said anything, yet Sister Yunshu was already telling Ji Huai to leave. I stared into Jia Yunshu's icy eyes and suddenly felt ridiculous. I turned around and walked out without the slightest hesitation. The moment I stepped out of the office, I received a message from Huang Linlin saying she had gotten it. Watching me leave the office, Jia Yunshu felt inexplicably irritated. Have him wait in the lounge and send him some breakfast. She instructed Yang Ting, thinking of my pale face. Jia Yunshu's heart ached. Aunt Zhang had called her earlier to say that I had left the house without eating breakfast. After the meeting, Jia Yunshu had been about to call me. When Yang Ting told her I was waiting in her office, couldn't he have eaten first before coming? He had been in such terrible pain last night. She wondered whether he was feeling any better today. Sister Yunshu. Song Mingyu looked at Jia Yunshu with a wounded expression. She had told Ji Huai to leave, just so he could go eat breakfast? Only then did Jia Yunshu turn to look at Song Mingyu. Her cool eyes narrowed dangerously. She sat down in her executive chair and lightly tapped the desk with her index finger. Were you the one who took those photos yesterday? Song Mingyu hurried forward and pulled up the photos in his phone's gallery for her. Yes, Sister Yunshu. I saw him with another woman. They were acting very intimately. They even kissed. But I didn't manage to get a photo. Oh, right? I also remember gossip reporters once caught him staying overnight at a hotel with a foreign woman. Someone like him doesn't deserve you. Luckily, you've already divorced him. Jia Yunshu flipped through the photos on Song Mingyu's phone, selected them all, and deleted them. Then she factory reset the phone. With angles this deliberately chosen, it's obvious they were staged. I was so blinded by anger that I actually believed these photos were real. Sister Yunshu, why are you? Song Mingyu watched as Jia Yunshu deleted all the photos. Jia Yunshu tossed his phone onto the desk, her eyes icy cold. Song Mingyu, who gave you the nerve to scheme against my man? Song Mingyu trembled all over as Sister Yunshu. Jia Yunshu glanced at him and said coldly, since you did it, then bear the consequences. Just then, Song Mingyu's phone rang. It was his father calling. The moment he answered, his father's furious roar came through the line. What on earth did you do to anger Miss Xia? She has terminated all cooperation with us, and every other company working with us has started pulling out as well. Hearing his father's furious shouting, Song Mingyu felt as if he'd fallen into an ice cellar. His legs gave way, and he dropped to his knees with a thud. Sister Yunshu, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Jia Yunshu gave him no chance to plead. She directly called security and had them drag him out. A moment later, Yang Ting walked in. Miss Xia, Mr. Ji has left. Jia Yunshu hurried after him, but by the time she arrived, I had already entered the elevator. She immediately took out her phone and called me. However, she only heard that my line was busy. After leaving the Jia group, I called Huang Linlin and arranged to meet her. When I arrived at the cafe, Huang Linlin handed me a folder. She had prepared a fake blood test report showing that I was perfectly healthy. She had already swapped out my real test results. No one noticed, I said as I took the folder. Thank you. Huang Linlin waved her hand. Don't mention it. Then she looked at the file in my hand. Professor G, when I swapped out your blood test report, I took a look at the original. I looked at Huang Linlin seriously. Dr. Huang, please keep this a secret from me. Huang Linlin frowned slightly, clearly confused as she asked. Professor G, I don't understand. Anemia is only a minor issue. Why are you hiding it from Miss Xia? I stared at Huang Linlin in bewilderment. Anemia. I opened the file envelope and took out the blood test report. My eyes fell on the final lines of the test results. I widened my eyes. That's not right. I knew my body very well. Other than that substance in my blood, I was perfectly healthy. There was no such thing as anemia. So there was definitely something wrong with this report. Are you sure you didn't take the wrong report? I looked at Huang Linlin. She shook her head. There's no mistake. The submission time and patient information all match. Besides, since President Chen personally delivered it to the lab, the report was specially marked. I stared at the report, my brows tightly furrowed. I was certain this wasn't my blood sample. If the report wasn't mistaken, then perhaps The lab technicians had mixed up the blood samples from the start. If that was the case, then fate had accidentally done me a favor. The way I was last night definitely didn't look like I was fine. But since I didn't want to talk about it, Huang Linlin didn't press me any further. Just then, my phone rang. It was Jia Yunshu calling. I declined the call. Huang Linlin noticed the caller ID. After hesitating for a moment, she asked, "Professor Ji, what's your relationship with Miss Xia?" I answered calmly, "She's my ex-wife." Huang Linlin suddenly understood. "So you're the husband Miss Xia was secretly married to for 2 years." She had heard about Jia Yunshu's secret marriage before. Back then, everyone in elite circles believed her husband was nothing more than a convenient tool to deal with her family's pressure to marry. I smiled faintly. Since Huang Linlin had worked that afternoon, she returned to the hospital first. I stayed alone in the cafe for a while. The more I stared at the test report, the more suspicious it seemed. Could Ellie have done this? With that thought, I immediately called Ellie. A few seconds later, she answered, "Why? Don't you know? There's a 12-hour time difference between Huaxia and the United States." I just fell asleep. I cleared my throat. "Sorry. I have something urgent to ask you." Ellie yawned. "What is it?" I briefly explained what had happened. After listening, Ellie fell silent for a moment. Then she said seriously, "It wasn't me. I didn't do it." I frowned immediately. "If it wasn't you, Ellie, then who was it?" "Why, didn't you say that substance hadn't flared up for 2 years? Why was this attack so severe?" It caught me completely off guard. Ellie said worriedly, "Why? You have to learn to control your emotions. The attacks caused by that substance are largely related to a person's emotional state. The greater the emotional fluctuation, the more likely it is to flare up." After a brief pause, I asked, "Any news on Jiwani?" "Not yet. We're still investigating." "By the way, I found out Jia Yunshu's people are looking for Jiwani too." I froze. Was Jia Yunshu searching for Jiwani to avenge me? "I understand. Keep searching, and send more people if necessary." After hanging up, I borrowed a lighter from a waiter and burned the blood test report that Huang Linlin had given me. That afternoon, I went to the nursing home to visit Grandpa. I hadn't been there long before Jia Yunshu arrived, holding a bouquet of flowers. I glanced at her indifferently. "What are you doing here?" She smiled. "Of course I'm here to visit Grandpa." I rolled my eyes speechlessly. "Who's Grandpa?" Jia Yunshu placed the flowers on the table and walked straight over to me, taking my hand. "Why didn't you answer my calls?" I shook her hand off. "I was busy." She asked again. "Busy with what?" I replied flatly, "That's none of your business." She stared at me. Then after a few seconds said, "Someone offered 200 million to buy the ice jade flower. Do you think I should sell it? Wasn't I obedient enough?" Jia Yunshu frowned. She took my hand again. "I told you to leave, so you could wait for me in the lounge. And Zhang said you hadn't had breakfast. I asked Yang Ting to prepare some for you, but you left instead. And you wouldn't answer my calls." My eyes flickered. So that's what happened? I had thought she told me to leave because I had interrupted her private time with Song Mingyu. Jia Yunshu stepped forward and held my hand. "Darling, as long as you stay by my side, whatever you want, I'll give it to you." I looked at the suddenly gentle Jia Yunshu, feeling a little dazed. Lately, Jia Yunshu seemed rather unpredictable, and I couldn't figure out what she wanted. I looked at her in confusion and asked, "Anything I want?" Jia Yunshu nodded. "Anything." I pressed my lips together without saying a word. What I really wanted wasn't the ice jade flower. Just then, Jia Yunshu's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID, and her expression turned cold. It was Jia Ziming calling. telling her to return to the family estate immediately. If there's something to say it over the phone. Jia Yunshu had no intention of going back. Ever since Grandpa passed away, she had only returned to the old mansion during major holidays. Just like me, she had no fondness for that place. Jia Zimin roared angrily. Did you cut off all cooperation with the Song family? Who gave you permission to do that? The Jia and Song families have been close for decades, and we've had countless business partnerships. What's even worse, after seeing you end cooperation with the Songs, the other companies that worked with them also terminated their partnerships. And all of this happened in just one day. The Song family was already on the verge of collapse. Holding the phone, Jia Yunshu said coldly, "Since when do I need anyone's permission to do my job?" Jia Zimin slammed the table on the other end of the line. Jia Yunshu, you clearly don't regard me as your father anymore. Do you? No matter what, the Song family has been friends with ours for decades. Even if they offended you, you shouldn't have gone this far. Jia Yunshu raised an eyebrow. Dad, you don't know me very well. If I were truly ruthless, the Song family would already be gone from Kyoto. With that, Jia Yunshu hung up. I looked at her in surprise. You made a move against the Song family. Just a small warning. Jia Yunshu put away her phone, took my hand and said, "It's getting late. Let's go home." After we got into the car, Yang Ting started driving. I noticed a folder from the medical university on the seat. It must have been the fake report Wang Linlin had swapped in. What's this? I asked knowingly. Jia Yunshu replied, the doctor drew your blood last night and sent it for testing. These are the results. She had already looked through the report. I opened it. Everything came back normal. No problems. Do you know Wang Linlin? Jia Yunshu suddenly asked. I nodded. We worked together overseas for a while. Jia Yunshu leaned against me. Hawaii. I don't want you getting too close to other women. I smiled. Was Jia Yunshu jealous? But I also understood that her jealousy had nothing to do with love. It was simply her possessive nature. When we returned to Eugene Villa, Jia Linger was there too. You're back. The moment she saw me, Jia Linger immediately greeted me. Brother GY. I bought lots of ingredients. I looked at her helplessly. You're here for a free meal again? Brother GY. You're the best. It's been so long since I had your cooking. I've really been craving it. I didn't know how to cook before. After losing my memory, I learned for Jia Yunshu, and I became quite good at it. Unfortunately, Jia Yunshu never appreciated it. Instead, this foodie, Jia Linger, came over every few days to freeload a meal and keep me company. I helplessly patted her head. All right. With that, I headed to the kitchen. Just as I was about to start, a pair of arms wrapped around my waist. I'll help you. My body stiffened. I could clearly feel Jia Yunshu's hands moving behind me. The air gradually filled with an intimate atmosphere. How are you planning to cook this fish? Her pleasant voice suddenly sounded by my ear. My ears turned red, looking at the clean sea bass. I replied, let's steam it. Click, wow. I got such a great shot. Jia Yunshu and I turned toward the kitchen door. There stood Jia Linger with her phone, grinning from ear to ear. Sis. Brother GY, look at this photo. Doesn't it look so warm? Jia Linger ran in holding up her phone. Jia Yunshu glanced at it. It's pretty good, send it to me. I quickly pushed Jia Yunshu away and glared at Jia Linger. Jia Linger, do you still want dinner or not? Of course I do. I'll help wash the vegetables. Jia Linger quickly sent the photo to her sister and then obediently went to wash the vegetables. Although Jia Linger couldn't cook, she was very capable when helping out. Soon, she had washed all the vegetables for stir-frying. An hour later, for dishes and a soup were ready. Jia Linger picked up her phone and snapped photo after photo for her social media. Let's eat. Jia Yunshu looked at the delicious dishes on the table. The dishes reminded Jia Yunshu of what I had said last night. For a period last year, I prepared 3 meals a day for her almost every day. For lunch, I packed it in an exquisite lunchbox and delivered it to her office. At night, I would also prepare a lavish dinner and wait for her to come home. But she never ate it. Several times, right in front of me, she threw all the food into the trash. Jia Yunshu clenched her fists. For the first time, she realized what a terrible person she had been. How heartbroken GY must have been. What are you standing there for? Time to eat. After taking her photos, Jia Linger noticed Jia Yunshu standing there with a cold expression. I glanced at her and said calmly, "If you don't want to eat the food I cooked, Aunt Zhang can make something else for you." Jia Yunshu sat down beside me. "It's not that I don't want to eat it." Jia Linger quickly handed me her bowl. "Please get me a bowl of soup." Jia Yunshu shot her a glance. "Don't you have hands?" Jia Linger smiled helplessly. All right, she'd been rejected. Jia Yunshu sampled every single dish. I had to admit my cooking really was excellent. Even ordinary home-cooked dishes tasted amazing. Jia Yunshu ate 3 bowls of rice. By the time she put down her chopsticks, every plate on the table had been emptied. Seeing the satisfied look on Jia Yunshu's face, I twitched my lips. "You ate so much tonight. Be careful you don't get indigestion." Jia Yunshu smiled suggestively. "It's fine. We can get a little exercise afterward to help digest it." I glanced at her. "Then why don't you wash the dishes?" Jia Yunshu nodded. "Sure. It's just washing dishes. How hard could it be?" Jia Linger was dumbfounded. Her sister was actually going to wash dishes. "Miss Jia, Mr. Song is here." At that moment, Aunt Zhang walked over. "Why is he here?" Jia Linger had never liked Song Mingyu. "Don't see him." Jia Yunshu continued clearing the dishes. Without even looking up, Aunt Zhang acknowledged her order and walked out. A short while later, she returned. "Miss Jia, Mr. Song is kneeling at the gate and refuses to leave. He says he has to see you today. Ms. Yunshu, please spare the Song family. I know I was wrong. I'm sorry, I swear I'll never do it again." Song Mingyu's cries echoed from outside. A cold glint flashed across Jia Yunshu's eyes. "Have the bodyguards throw him out." Outside, 2 bodyguards lifted Song Mingyu up and dumped him onto the roadside. "Ms. Yunshu, how could you treat me like this? It must be all GY's fault." He sat on the ground in disgrace, staring hatefully at the villa's gate. "It's all GY's fault. I can't let him get away with this." Song Mingyu climbed back into his car, took out his phone, and made a call. "Didn't you say you'd help me? I need your help now." After washing the dishes, Jia Yunshu even prepared a fruit platter. In the living room, Jia Linger and I were dominating a video game. Suddenly, a piece of watermelon was held to my mouth. Without thinking, I took a bite. When I turned my head, I saw Jia Yunshu sitting beside me, holding a fork with a gentle smile. "Is it good?" I shifted away a little. "It's pretty good." Jia Yunshu speared another piece of watermelon and held it out to feed me again. Being treated so gently by her still felt a little unfamiliar to me. "I'll do it myself." But the cool, refreshing watermelon was already in my mouth. Watching us, Jia Linger gave up on the game. "Wait, go to my study first. I have something to talk to you about, okay?" Jia Linger hurried upstairs. Jia Yunshu placed the fruit platter in my arms. "Eat more fruit. I'll come down in a bit and take a walk with you in the garden." With that, she went upstairs as well. I looked at the fruit platter in my arms. I wanted to smile, but I couldn't. Back then, all I ever dreamed of was having Jia Yunshu share a meal with me, or take a walk with me. Now that it had finally come true, it didn't make me as happy as I had imagined. After all, to her, I was nothing more than someone interesting. In the study, Jia Yunshu asked Jia Linger, "What does GY like?" Jia Linger looked at her like she was beyond saving. "You've been married for 2 years, and you don't even know what he likes." She slapped her forehead. How could she forget? Her sister used to be such a terrible wife, treating GY as if he were invisible. Of course, she had never bothered to understand him. You really didn't care about brother GY. No wonder he wanted to lead you back in Jincheng. You must have completely broken his heart. Now that, you want to win him back. It won't be easy. Jia Yunshu knew very well that it wouldn't be easy. Still, she had 6 months to make up for everything. Looking at her sister's perpetually icy expression, Jia Linger smiled. "I actually know quite a lot about what brother GY likes." I'll tell you, and you write it down." Jia Yunshu immediately opened the Notes app on her phone. "Brother GY loves hot pot. and strongly flavored food. Before bed, he likes to drink a cup of warm milk, and the only coffee he drinks is a latte. Jia Linger went on and on listing his preferences. By the time she finished, Jia Yunshu had recorded over 1,000 words in her notes. She suddenly remembered something. She paused in her tracks. Something else? Jia Yunshu looked at Jia Linger, who had turned back. Jia Linger said, I had dinner with Shen Qianing yesterday. She asked me to remind you that it's time for your physical checkup. Jia Yunshu straightened up. She had been so busy lately that she had completely forgotten about it. Sis, you know your own condition. I'm only 24. Jia Yunshu replied indifferently. Jia Linger frowned. That doesn't mean you can ignore it. I know. After Jia Linger left, Jia Yunshu remained in the study for a while longer. Then she went downstairs. I was already taking a walk in the garden. Jia Yunshu stopped in front of me. Why? I'm sorry. I turned to look at her. Jia Yunshu looked at my hands. The thought of how I had learned to cook for her and injured all 10 of my fingers made her heart ache. I was wrong before. I hurt you and made you suffer. I won't do that again. I stared at Jia Yunshu in 8 days. My heart pounded wildly. I never expected her to apologize so humbly. It was truly surprising. I opened my mouth, but not a single word came out. Hurt was hurt. It couldn't be undone with a simple apology. And not every apology deserves forgiveness. But then again, I only had myself to blame. I had insisted on loving someone who had never loved me back. I rubbed my stinging nose. Jia Yunshu, I don't want to talk about the past. Jia Yunshu stepped forward and hugged me, gently patting my back. Okay, we'll do it your way, on Friday. Jia Yunshu didn't have anything important that morning. Remembering Jia Linger's reminder, she went to the hospital. As soon as she stepped out of the elevator, she heard a flurry of hurried footsteps coming from the other end of the hallway. Jia Yunshu looked up and saw a group of doctors surrounding a man in a white coat who wore a surgical mask as they walked toward her. The man at the front held the patient's chart in his hand. As he read it, he spoke to the doctors and nurses beside him with a serious expression, like a general about to head into battle. The doctors following behind him looked at him with nothing but respect and admiration, carefully writing down every word he said. Jia Yunshu stared at the approaching man in shock, even though he was wearing a mask. She recognized him instantly. It was Shi Huai. When I looked up and met Jia Yunshu's gaze, I froze for a moment too. Why was Jia Yunshu at the hospital? Just then, one of the doctors behind me answered a phone call and then said, Professor G, the blood bank just called back. They said they don't have enough typo blood for now. Jia Yunshu froze, staring at me in disbelief. The last time she asked whether I knew medicine, I had said a little. She had thought I really meant only a little. Now it seemed I had been far too modest. How could someone who knew a little become a professor? I ignored Jia Yunshu and led the team toward the ward, saying as we walked, transfer blood from another hospital. The patient is a retired soldier. He has priority. Everyone else, make the necessary preparations. The surgery begins as soon as the blood arrives. Wasn't that Mr. G just now? When did he become so amazing? He's already a medical professor at such a young age. Is he some kind of genius? A proud smile curled onto Jia Yunshu's lips. As expected of my husband, Yang Ting quietly reminded her, Ms. Jia, didn't you forget that you're already divorced? In the dean's office, Dean Shenzhou studied Jia Yunshu's examination results, his brows tightly furrowed. Ms. Jia, have you been working too hard lately? Under too much stress? According to your test results, quite a few of your indicators are elevated. How have your sleep and appetite been recently? Jia Yunshu rubbed her temples. My appetite is fine, but I've had some insomnia. She had hardly ever suffered from insomnia before. But after I ran away in Jincheng, she searched for me for 3 days without sleeping. Ever since then, she had been struggling with insomnia. Shenzhou pondered for a moment, then asked, how's your mental state? Do you ever lose focus or feel dazed? Not really. Shenzhou let out a sigh of relief. That's good. Although the hereditary condition in your family usually doesn't manifest until after the age of 40, there can always be exceptions. So, you should pay more attention to getting enough rest, maintain a positive mood, and make sure you get sufficient sleep every day. I'll prescribe you something to help you sleep. Take it for a while. Then come back for another checkup. Jia Yunshu nodded. The Jia family had a hereditary mental illness. It was passed down only to women, and usually only the firstborn daughter would inherit it. The disease wasn't fatal, however. Once it developed, the patient's mental state would deteriorate drastically, making them irritable and quick to anger, becoming emotionally unstable, and even doing extreme things. After getting her medication, Jia Yunshu didn't leave the hospital right away. Instead, she waited for me outside the operating room. Inside the operating room, the surgery lasted 5 hours. It was finally completed. After placing the final stitch, I let out a long breath. The rest was left to Huang Linlin. After giving her a few post-op instructions, I left the operating room through another exit. The moment I stepped out, I saw Jia Yunshu waiting outside. Why are you here? I'm waiting for you. Jia Yunshu unscrewed a bottle of water and handed it to me. I didn't stand on ceremony. I took it and drank half the bottle in one go. Are you free tonight? Qianing organized a dinner. I'm not going. I handed the bottle back to her and headed toward my office. I'm exhausted right now. I just want to go home and rest, knowing how tired I was. Jia Yunshu didn't insist. She planned to send Sheng Qianing a message later to tell her we wouldn't be going. I changed out of my surgical gown and checked the time on my phone. I discovered that Li Ji had sent me a message 2 hours earlier. I opened it and read it, raising an eyebrow. They work fast. After thinking it over, I sent a reply. Then I asked Jia Yunshu, who was waiting outside, who's going to Sheng Qianing's gathering. Jia Yunshu replied, me, Linger, and Zhang Xinru. A faint smile flashed across my eyes. Zhang Xinru would be there too. This was perfect. I rubbed my nose. I've suddenly changed my mind. I'll go after all. An hour later, at the Beiyuan Club, in the Qianqi private room on the top floor, when Jia Yunshu and I walked in, Sheng Qianing and Zhang Xinru had already arrived. Zhang Xinru looked at the two of us walking in hand. You're here. We all knew each other, so there was no need for formalities. I nodded in greeting and took a seat. Sheng Qianing looked back and forth between us with a teasing smile. Ms. Jia, when are you two getting remarried? I shot her a cold glance. Who told you I was getting remarried to her? Sheng Qianing twitched the corner of her mouth. Aren't you two holding hands everywhere you go? Don't tell me you still haven't made up. Jia Yunshu glanced at Sheng Qianing, then took my hand again. I'm still trying to win Manhwa back. I haven't succeeded yet. So, remarriage can wait. Zhang Xinru looked at Jia Yunshu with amusement. I ran into Ms. Wen a couple of days ago. She still seems unable to forget Mr. Ji. Jia Yunshu's face darkened. I think she still won't give up. Anyone who covets my man is asking for trouble. Sheng Qianing burst into laughter without caring about her image. Ms. Jia, look at you now. What goes around comes around. No one escapes karma. Ms. Jia, your road to winning him back won't be easy. Just then, the private room door opened. Jia Linger arrived late carrying several shopping bags. Sorry, there was traffic. I'm late. Now that everyone was here, the waiters quickly began serving the dishes. I glanced at Zhang Xinru beside me, picked up my glass, and stood up. Mr. Ji, I'd like to propose a toast. Zhang Xinru was momentarily stunned, then stood up with her wine glass. You're too kind, Mr. Ji. Just call me by my name. The two of us clinked glasses and emptied them in one gulp. I picked up the bottle and poured her another glass. Casually, my fingertips paused briefly on the rim of the glass. I've heard you're quite skilled, Mr. Ji. If we get the chance, I'd like to spar with you. I smiled gracefully. Zhang Xinru glanced at Jia Yunshu beside me, then smiled faintly. I'd better not. If I accidentally hurt you, Ms. Jia would probably kill me. Jia Yunshu took a sip of wine and said seriously, you can't beat him. Sheng Qianing patted Zhang Xinru on the shoulder. Xinru, it's not that I look down on you. It's just that he's incredibly skilled. After all, he's the mysterious master who once swept the entire arena. Zhang Xinru looked at me in surprise. Then I'd really like to learn a few moves from you someday. Anytime. We clinked glasses again and drained them in one gulp. Seeing Zhang Xinru drink the wine I had poured for her, I smiled to myself. After dinner, on the way back, my stomach started hurting, so I stopped by a roadside pharmacy to buy some medicine. Just then, a car sped toward me. Fortunately, my reflexes were quick, and I escaped unharmed. Meanwhile, Zhang Xinru returned home. She hadn't had much to drink that night, yet she felt extremely dizzy after getting home. After taking a quick shower, Zhang Xinru collapsed onto her bed. Under the cover of night, a shadow quietly slipped into the darkness. The man agilely climbed over the fence and silently infiltrated the villa. After lying in wait outside for 2 days, he had already mastered every detail of the villa's security. With Shaoqi's assistance, tonight was the perfect opportunity to strike. At this hour, all the servants were asleep, and the main building was completely silent. Dressed in black from head to toe, the man entered the living room through the floor-to-ceiling window and quietly went upstairs. 10 minutes later, a piercing alarm blared from the study on the second floor. In her bedroom, Zhang Xinru's eyes flew open. She jumped out of bed, but her vision blurred, and she nearly fell. My head, it's spinning. Someone. Realizing something was wrong, Zhang Xinru called for help. While forcing herself out of the bedroom, a dark figure flashed before her eyes. Stop! The man let out a cold snort. The man leaped out of the second-floor window and jumped down from the second floor. Zhang Xinru rushed forward, but her fingers only brushed against his clothes. Seeing the study door standing open, Zhang Xinru thought, "This is bad." She abandoned the chase and immediately ran inside. The door to the study's secret room was wide open. The case was still inside. Zhang Xinru opened the case, but its contents were already gone. Damn it! A fierce glint flashed in Zhang Xinru's eyes. At Eugene Villa, my stomach felt uncomfortable. So, I went to bed after soaking my feet. Jia Yunshu didn't return to her own room. She shamelessly insisted on sleeping beside me. In the middle of the night, while I was sound asleep, Jia Yunshu's phone rang. The sound woke me up, and I burrowed deeper under the covers. Jia Yunshu picked up her phone and answered it, then held it to her ear. Hello. Whatever the person on the other end said. Jia Yunshu got out of bed and went to the study. I rolled over and checked the time on my phone. The call Jia Yunshu had just received was most likely from Zhang Xinru. After all, Li Ji had never failed a mission. In the study, Jia Yunshu stood by the window, radiating a sharp, chilling aura. When did you become so careless? A thief broke into your home, and you didn't even notice. I was too careless. Even now, Zhang Xinru couldn't figure out how she had been drugged. Could that thief have planted some kind of drug in my room beforehand that caused dizziness and drowsiness? It wasn't because you were careless. Someone had already set their sights on what you were holding when that item was still in Solomon's possession. Many people were already watching it. When it didn't appear at the last auction, many people began secretly investigating its whereabouts. Solomon wouldn't reveal a buyer's identity so easily, unless the other party was someone extraordinary. It seems this thief has quite an impressive background. Have you identified the thief? Zhang Xinru shook her head. The surveillance footage didn't capture his face. All we know is that he's a man. Jia Yunshu raised an eyebrow. A man interesting. Don't worry, I'll catch him and recover the item as soon as possible. Alright, because of my stomachache, I was completely drained the next day. Seeing how miserable I looked, Jia Yunshu felt heartbroken but couldn't do much to help. So she watched videos online to learn how to cook porridge. I curled up on the sofa with a cushion, watching a movie, but my attention wasn't on the screen. I stared blankly at Jia Yunshu's back as she busied herself in the kitchen. If anyone had told me before that Jia Yunshu would cook something herself, I would have thought they were dreaming. I had never even dared to imagine it. Jia Yunshu seemed to notice my gaze and turned around. Our eyes met unexpectedly. Looking into Jia Yunshu's cool, beautiful eyes, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. I instinctively looked away, feeling as though I'd been caught doing something wrong. Once the porridge was ready, Jia Yunshu carried the bowl over. The internet says porridge can help soothe an upset stomach. I took the bowl and held its warmth in my hands before taking a sip. Jia Yunshu sat beside me. You're welcome. From now on, I'll make it for you every day. After a brief pause, she added, only for you. My eyes flickered, and I smiled faintly. Jia Yunshu, you're suddenly being so gentle. I'm not quite used to it. Jia Yunshu raised an eyebrow. Is being gentle a bad thing? Would you rather I treated you as coldly as I did before? I shook my head. That's not what I mean. Of course I liked her being gentle and treating me well, but there was still an emptiness in my heart. I didn't know how long her tenderness and kindness toward me would last. Suddenly, Jia Yunshu stepped forward and hugged me tightly. GY, If I didn't have the ice jade flower, would you refuse to even look at me? I shook my head. It wouldn't be that bad. Although I was staying by her side now. Because of the ice jade flower, even without it, my feelings for her wouldn't change. I simply wouldn't remain entangled with her like this. With reddened eyes, Jia Yunshu continued asking, Ji Huai, then tell me, what must I do to make you love me again? My voice was bitter. Jia Yunshu, is my love really that important? Very important. Jia Yunshu placed her hand on my chest and took a deep breath. In this world, nothing can make people happier than a love that is returned equally. I didn't answer Jia Yunshu's question. Instead, I asked, what about you? Jia Yunshu, do you love me? Jia Yunshu frowned. Do you even need to ask? Seeing her frown, my heart instantly turned cold. Forget it. I shouldn't have asked. I only humiliated myself. Why did I even bother? Jia Yunshu caressed my cheek. Ji Why, her ringtone interrupted her. She impatiently picked up her phone and checked the caller ID. I didn't know what the person on the other end said. But Jia Yunshu visibly froze. She immediately said, put him on the phone. I looked at Jia Yunshu and vaguely heard the words, we found Achi. After hanging up, Jia Yunshu immediately called Yang Ting. Prepare the helicopter. I sat on the sofa, staring fixedly at Jia Yunshu, who stood beside the bed making the call. My heart was filled with sorrow. If I wasn't mistaken, that call had been about Achi. Jia Yunshu couldn't afford any delay. After instructing Yang Ting to prepare the helicopter, she immediately returned to her bedroom to change clothes. Then she seemed to remember that I was still in the study and came back to say, wait for me. I need to go out for a while. Stay home and call me if anything happens. I nodded stiffly. Just as I was about to speak, Jia Yunshu's phone rang again. She answered it and immediately turned to head downstairs. I watched her figure disappear, my nose stinging with unshed tears. Suddenly, I found myself envying Achi, envying that he could be so deeply cherished and loved by Jia Yunshu. Ah, why? Where's my sister? Go in. Jia Linger walked out of the house, watching the helicopter gradually fly away. I forced a bitter smile. Other than Achi, who else could make her leave in such a hurry? Jia Linger froze. There's news about Achi again. I said nothing. Just as I wanted some time alone, I received a call from Zushi. Boss, we've found Ji Ren. My spirits instantly lifted. You found him? Where is he? But we were one step too late. He's already in Jia Yunshu's custody. I froze. So Jia Yunshu had left in such a hurry because of Ji Ren. I remembered what Ellie had said before, that Jia Yunshu's people had also been searching for Ji Ren. Maybe I'd heard it wrong earlier. Perhaps Jia Yunshu had rushed off. Not because of Achi, but because Ji Ren had been captured at the St. Diaz Hotel in France. Ms. Jia. Long time no see. Ji Ren looked at Jia Yunshu with the sly smile of an old fox. Jia Yunshu got straight to the point. What do you want? Ms. Jia, you're refreshingly direct. Since that's the case, I'll be blunt. I want Ji Huai dead. Yang Ting, standing beside them, was stunned. Ji Ren really had the nerve to make such a demand. Wasn't he afraid Ms. Jia would kill him on the spot? Ji Ren smiled. He said sinisterly, only after he dies can I rightfully become the head of the Ji family. A murderous glint flashed in Jia Yunshu's eyes, her expression unreadable. What makes you think I'll agree? Ms. Jia, don't you want to know where the man you searched for all these years is? Ji Ren chuckled under his breath, then took a photograph from his pocket and handed it to her. You should recognize the object in this photograph, Ms. Jia. Jia Yunshu took it and looked. Her gaze suddenly sharpened, and her cool, beautiful eyes became unfathomably deep. The photograph showed an antique bronze black diamond ring, identical to the one she had removed from Aki's hand 5 years ago. So, Ms. Jia, will you accept this deal? Ji Ren looked at Jia Yunshu with a faint smile, his expression calculating. Jia Yunshu had searched for the man named Achi for 5 years. She had even offered large rewards on the dark web and black market. It was obvious how important he was to her. You know where he is? Ji Ren nodded. Ms. Jia, the moment you deliver Ji Huai's corpse to me, I'll tell you where Achi is. He paused, then added, Ms. Jia, no one in this world knows his whereabouts except me. If I die, you'll never find him in this lifetime. Jia Yunshu stared at the bandage wrapped around the back of her left hand. After a long silence, she finally said, "Fine, I agree." Ji Ren let out a heavy sigh of relief and burst into laughter. I knew it. Ms. Jia, I'll be waiting for your good news. Jia Yunshu tightened her grip on the photograph. She turned and left the room. Yang Ting followed her out, looking hesitant. Ms. Jia, are you really going to? Jia Yunshu turned to look at her. Go take care of something for me. After giving her instructions, Jia Yunshu returned to her room. In the middle of the night, a loud explosion suddenly echoed through the hotel. Jia Yunshu rushed out of her room and saw the room where Ji Ren was being held engulfed in thick smoke and flames. Jingshu clutched her injured arm as she ran out of the fire. Ms. Jia, Zhu Shi and his men took Ji Ren away. Back in Kyoto, I lay in bed thinking all night. In the end, I decided to go to Country F. Given Jia Yunshu's personality, she probably wouldn't let Ji Ren return alive. Before he died, I needed to ask him a few things. Early the next morning, I booked a flight and packed a few things. Just as I was about to leave for the airport, I heard the whirring sound of helicopter blades coming from outside. I walked to the balcony and looked out. It was Jia Yunshu. She had returned so quickly. I immediately ran downstairs. Jia Yunshu, why are you? Jia Yunshu walked in with a cold expression and grabbed my wrist. Where is Ji Ren? I froze. Wasn't Ji Ren captured by your people? Zhu Shi and his men took him away last night. That's impossible. When I spoke to Zhu Shi yesterday, I made it perfectly clear that he wasn't to take Ji Ren. I fought Zhu Shi myself. He was definitely the one who took Ji Ren. I couldn't have mistaken him. Jingshu, standing behind Jia Yunshu, spoke up. I'll call him. I was stunned too. I shook off Jia Yunshu's hand and immediately called Zhu Shi. The phone rang for a long time before he finally answered. She, a cool, queenly female voice interrupted me. It's me. At the same time, on the balcony of an ancient castle, a stunningly beautiful woman leaned against the railing, her eyes gleaming with an icy light. I was the one who ordered Zhu Shi to take him away. With every word Ji Lingshuang spoke, the murderous intent in her eyes intensified. From the other end of the phone, I asked, why? Ji Lingshuang smiled. No particular reason. I simply disliked him and wanted him dead. He's already dead. I killed him myself. The woman's voice was filled with pride. Had she not ordered an investigation, she still wouldn't have known that I had been injured in an assassination attempt and lost my memory 2 years ago. The person she had painstakingly trained could only be bullied by her. Ji Lingshuang tightened her grip on the phone and stared coldly into the distance. Anyone who tries to harm you will regret ever being born. I replied coldly, stay out of my affairs. The woman snorted arrogantly. I refuse. Your business is my business. Unable to tolerate it any longer, I hung up the phone. Ji Lingshuang gazed into the distance with her cool eyes. It has been 2 years, and you've certainly grown bolder. She tossed the phone onto the nearby coffee table, her expression turning icy. Yuan, who was waiting nearby, responded and stepped forward. Send someone to Waxia and investigate GY thoroughly. Find out exactly what he's doing. He knows how important A117 is to him. Yet he still hasn't retrieved it. Yuan nodded and left. Young miss is awake. A servant's voice suddenly came from behind her. Ji Lingshuang turned around and saw a little girl around 2 years old, rubbing her eyes. As she ran into the room, the little girl ran up to the woman, pointed at the phone on the table, and then pointed at her. Her ruby-red eyes were filled with curiosity. Ji Lingshuang raised an eyebrow. What is it? The little one moved her lips, but no sound came from her throat. Ji Lingshuang could read lips. A faint smile tugged at the corners of her lips. Little hedgehog, how did you know it was him? Could this really be the bond of blood? Ji Lingshuang walked over and gently ruffled the child's fluffy hair. Do you want to see him? The moment little hedgehog heard that, she nodded eagerly, her eyes full of anticipation. Ji Lingshuang smiled faintly, but your appearance would only make him sad. Little hedgehog pointed at the phone again, her childish face filled with anger. You want to call him? Little hedgehog nodded. No. Little hedgehog pouted at her, her eyes instantly filling with tears. She looked utterly pitiful. But Ji Lingshuang wasn't moved. She snorted. Crying won't help. Little Hedgehog froze for a moment, then spun around and kicked over an antique vase worth tens of millions. Ji Lingshuang didn't look the least bit distressed. She instructed a nearby servant, "Bring over all the vases. Let her kick them to her heart's content." Just as Yuan was about to comfort the child, Little Hedgehog stormed out of the room. Yuan sighed helplessly and quickly told the servants to follow her. Whenever Little Hedgehog got angry, she was exactly like Ji Lingshuang. Ji Lingshuang glanced at the antique vase that Little Hedgehog had just smashed. She didn't feel a trace of regret. She snorted. I wonder who she inherited that awful temper from. After a brief silence, Yuan asked, "When are you going to let them meet?" Ji Lingshuang shot Yuan a cold glance. "There's no need. Little Hedgehog doesn't need a father in her life, and Ji Huai doesn't need a child in his." Little Hedgehog stormed back to her bedroom and locked the door behind her. "The Great Demon King is the worst. She always stops me from seeing Daddy, no matter what." She had to find a way to meet her father. The moment I hung up, Jia Yunshu asked, "Where is Ji Rend?" I spread my hands helplessly. "He's dead." Jia Yunshu stared at me with an ugly expression and grabbed my wrist. "Who told you to kill him?" Ji Ren was the only person who knew Aki's whereabouts. Now that he's dead, the trail is completely gone. I looked at Jia Yunshu and frowned slightly. Ji Ren poisoned my grandfather, tried to kill me several times, and nearly got you killed too. Didn't someone like him deserve to die? Jingshu had never met me before and didn't know who I was. Hearing my words, he explained, Ji Ren knew where Mr. Achi was. Now that he's dead, the clue Ms. Jia searched for all these years is gone. I looked at Jia Yunshu in a daze. "So, you were in such a hurry to find Ji Ren, because he knew where Achi was?" I had always thought Jia Yunshu was looking for Ji Ren to avenge me. It seemed I had once again overestimated my importance. Jia Yunshu suppressed the turmoil in her heart, shook off my hand, and turned to leave. Soon, the sound of an engine came from outside. I stood there blankly, unable to describe what I was feeling. Every painful emotion imaginable surged into my heart at once. Clutching my chest, I collapsed onto the sofa. Damn it, the thing in my blood is acting up again. Just then, footsteps came from upstairs. "Brother Huai?" Jia Linger had been awakened by the commotion downstairs. "Brother Huai, what's wrong? Don't scare me." Jia Linger hurried downstairs. The moment she touched me, my icy body temperature terrified her. "Brother Huai, hold on a little longer. I'll take you to the hospital right now." I tightly grabbed Jia Linger's hand and struggled to say, "No, don't take me to the hospital." Jia Linger was so anxious that she nearly cried. "But you look like this. Help me back to my room." Jia Linger had no choice. Since I refused to go to the hospital, she could only help me back to my room first. "Phone." Trembling, I pointed at the phone on the bedside table. Seeing my bloodless face, Jia Linger paced around anxiously. Why? I'll call my sister right now." "No, call Huang Linlin." Fortunately, Huang Linlin arrived shortly afterward. The moment she saw my condition, she knew it was the same as last time. She quickly took a vial of tramadol hydrochloride from her medical kit. Meanwhile, after receiving Jia Linger's call, Jia Yunshu rushed back to Eugene Villa without stopping. The moment Aunt Zhang saw her, she kept wiping away her tears. "Ms. Jia, you're finally back. Please go check on Mr. Ji. His condition is very bad." Jia Yunshu's heart clenched tightly. Almost leaping into her throat, she rushed upstairs. The moment she pushed open the bedroom door, she saw me lying on the bed, pale-faced and convulsing all over. At that moment, Huang Linlin was holding a syringe, preparing to give me another injection of painkillers. Huai. Jia Yunshu rushed to the bedside, her eyes filled with anxiety and heartache. He had been perfectly fine when she left that morning. Only a few hours had passed. What exactly had happened? What's wrong with him? With reddened eyes, Jia Yunshu looked at Jia Linger and Huang Linlin beside her, wiping the tears from her face. Jia Linger said, "I don't know. When I came downstairs this morning, I saw Ahuai collapsed on the sofa. He kept saying that it hurt. I offered to take him to the hospital, but he refused." Jia Yunshu turned to look at Huang Linlin again. Huang Linlin hesitated just as she was about to speak. My weak voice sounded, "I'm fine. It's just an old condition acting up. It'll pass soon." Although my eyes were closed, My mind was still completely clear. I knew Jia Yunxi was sitting beside me. Jia Yunshu gently wiped the cold sweat from my forehead, her voice trembling slightly. Wai, let's go to the hospital. No. The moment I heard the word hospital, I became agitated, and my body began convulsing uncontrollably again. Jia Yunxi was startled. She immediately held my hand and soothed me. All right, we won't go to the hospital. Ms. Jia, let me give him another painkiller injection, Huang Linlin said. She had already given me the painkiller injections, but the pain in my body hadn't eased at all. Soon, Huang Linlin gave me another painkiller injection. Yet the damn pain coursing through my body still didn't subside. It hurts so much. Wai, how do you feel? Jia Yunxi kept calling my name beside me, her voice filled with anxiety. Hearing her voice, my nose stung, and tears slipped uncontrollably from the corners of my eyes. Jia Yunshu, I'm here. Wai, I'm here. Jia Yunshu tightened her grip on my hand, not realizing that even her own voice was trembling. Will you hold me? Please hold me. Perhaps because of the pain, I had become unusually vulnerable. At that moment, all I wanted was to be held by her. Even though I knew this woman didn't love me, I loved her. 2 years ago, she was the first person I saw when I opened my eyes. At the time, I couldn't remember anything. My mind was completely blank, and she became my only source of support. From that moment on, I fell in love with her. My heart was completely filled with her. Jia Yunshu had no reason to refuse my request, nor did she want to. In fact, the moment she came in, she had wanted to hold me in her arms, but she was afraid of hurting me. Hearing my request, Jia Yunshu immediately embraced me. I gasped for air like a fish stranded on shore. Beads of sweat the size of beans formed on my forehead, and my clothes were soaked through with cold sweat. Huang Linlin knew that medicine could no longer help my condition. 3 painkiller injections were already the limit. If the pain still couldn't be relieved, I could only endure it on my own. Let's go outside, Huang Linlin said to Jia Linger. Then she turned to Jia Yunshu and said, I won't leave for now. If anything happens, call me. Jia Linger and Huang Linlin left, leaving only Jia Yunshu and me in the bedroom. Jia Yunshu looked down at me, her fingers gently caressing my pale face. She carefully wiped the sweat from my forehead, her eyes filled with guilt and remorse. Wai, how do you feel? I leaned weakly against her shoulder. Jia Yunshu, it hurts so much. It feels like I'm dying. It really, really hurts. It's unbearable. Where does it hurt? Wai, tell me. Panic flashed across Jia Yunshu's eyes. I opened my mouth, but couldn't say a single word. Wai, seeing me in such agony. Jia Yunshu felt her heart shatter. I struggled to turn over, feeling completely drained, and buried my head against her neck. You've been drinking. You smell strongly of alcohol. Jia Yunshu nodded. Yeah, I had a little. I said nothing. Drinking so much in broad daylight meant she must have been in a bad mood. Then again, the trail to Achi had gone cold. No wonder she couldn't be in a good mood. A wave of bitterness welled up in my chest, and tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I had never been someone who cried easily. Ever since I was little, Grandpa told me that I would one day become the head of the family. Whether in public or in private, I had to stay strong. I couldn't be weak, and I certainly couldn't cry. But when the person I loved was by my side, caring for me, all the tears I had held back burst forth in an instant. The hot tears fell one by one onto Jia Yunshu's skin, burning her heart with pain. Wai, Jia Yunshu pulled me tightly into her arms. I hugged her back even more tightly. Her body was warm, and it eased the chill that had overtaken mine. I could feel my body gradually warming up again. I'd made it through. I let out a long sigh of relief. Jia Yunshu pulled the blanket over me and gently caressed my face, which had regained a little color. Should I call the doctor back in to check on you? No, I'm fine now. The worst part is already over. I just need to rest for a while. I held Jia Yunshu's hand. Jia Yunshu, lie down with me for a while. Jia Yunshu lay down beside me and wrapped me in her arms. After a moment of silence, she looked at me and asked, Ahoy, why have you never told me about these attacks before? I thought for a moment and answered casually, I was injured overseas before. It's an old condition. It's nothing serious. Jia Yunshu looked at me with heartache. It hurts this much, and you still call it nothing serious? Then what counts as serious? If it won't kill me, then it's not serious. Ah, why? I suddenly raised my hand and covered Jia Yunshu's eyes. The next moment, I opened my eyes and pressed my lips against Jia Yunshu's. I kissed her gently, savoring the faint scent of alcohol on her breath. Jia Yunshu immediately sensed that something was unusual about me. She tried to remove the hand, covering her eyes. Ah, why? What's wrong? My low, hoarse voice sounded. Instead of asking so many questions, just kiss me. Jia Yunshu immediately kissed me. As you wish. There was no movement upstairs, so they remained downstairs and waited. It wasn't until after 6 in the evening that Jia Yunshu came downstairs. Sis, where's brother Y? Jia Linger immediately ran over. He's asleep. Jia Linger stared at the hickey on her neck, and the corner of her mouth twitched violently. Brother Y is all right now, isn't he? He should be fine now. Jia Yunshu looked at Huang Linlin beside her. Dr. Huang, can you tell me about his condition? Ms. Jia. Jia Linger asked me the same thing earlier. I'm sorry, but I don't know much about Professor G's condition. Upon hearing that, Jia Yunshu's expression immediately darkened. Didn't you give him an injection? How could you not understand his condition? Professor G requested it. What worried Huang Linlin most now was whether such a large dose of tramatyl hydrochloride would cause side effects. Ms. Jia, if you're truly worried about Professor G, once his condition improves, take him to the hospital for a full examination. Jia Linger sensed the hostility in Huang Linlin's words and snapped. What do you mean by that? Of course my sister cares about Ahuai. In any case, thank you for today. Jia Yunshu looked at Huang Linlin, and for once, didn't give her a cold look. You're too kind, Ms. Jia. Huang Linlin nodded politely. Since Professor G is no longer in serious condition, I'll take my leave. After Huang Linlin left, Jia Linger wanted to go upstairs to see me, but Jia Yunshu stopped her. Ahuai needs to rest. Don't disturb him. Jia Linger sighed. All right. Jia Yunshu returned to the bedroom. I was still asleep, curled up like a shrimp. My brows were slightly furrowed, and I slept restlessly. Jia Yunshu leaned down and kissed my forehead. Her slender fingers gently smoothed my furrowed brows. Suddenly remembering something, Jia Yunshu looked toward the trash can in the room. Inside were 3 empty glass vials, left behind by Huang Linlin. Jia Yunshu picked up one of the more intact glass vials, using the English label on it. Jia Yunshu quickly searched online and identified the medication. It was a powerful painkiller, mostly used for severe and chronic pain, such as cancer pain. Cancer, Jia Yunshu's breathing stopped. The blood in her entire body seemed to freeze. I slept until the next morning. When I woke up, I saw Jia Yunshu sitting beside the bed, staring at me without blinking. She hadn't slept all night. Her usually cool, beautiful eyes were bloodshot and red, and dark circles hung heavily beneath them. You're awake. Her voice was unusually dry and hoarse. Jia Yunshu helped me sit up and handed me a glass of warm water. Thank you. I drank half the glass. As soon as I put it down, Jia Yunshu suddenly pulled me tightly into her arms. Ah, why? Jia Yunshu called my name in a hoarse voice. I won't let anything happen to you. Absolutely not. I gently patted her shoulder. I'm already fine. Jia Yunshu nodded. You haven't eaten anything for an entire day and night. What would you like to eat? I looked at her and replied, anything is fine. Something light. All right. I'll have someone prepare it. I watched Jia Yunshu walk away, wondering whether I was imagining things. I felt that Jia Yunshu looked at me with a hint of hurt in her eyes. I went to the bathroom and took a shower. Standing before the mirror, I looked at the kiss marks on my collarbone and couldn't help recalling yesterday's madness. Since staying by her side was so painful, I should just leave. I would have to leave sooner or later anyway. A bitter smile tugged at my lips. After leaving the bathroom, I called Zushi. Bring some men to Kyoto. I want to transfer Grandpa to a hospital in Jincheng. Jihaoken wasn't at the Kyoto sanatorium right now. Only a few bodyguards were there to protect Grandpa. Zushi could easily take Grandpa away. Zushi froze briefly on the other end. All right, I'll leave right now. I'll arrive in Kyoto by tonight at the latest. I hung up and went downstairs. Brother Y, you're all right now. Jia Linger hurried over to support me. I smiled and waved my hand. Don't be so nervous. I'm perfectly fine now. Nothing's wrong with me. Jia Linger's eyes reddened. She lightly punched my shoulder. You nearly scared me to death yesterday. She had truly thought I was going to die. Sorry I never told you before. It's an old condition. It acts up from time to time. And I'm not good with pain, so my reaction was a little intense. I'm fine now. Why did you come downstairs without putting on another layer? Jia Yunshu approached from behind and draped a shawl over my shoulders. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's the middle of summer. I'm not cold. Jia Yunshu held both my hands. Your body was freezing yesterday, and you were covered in cold sweat. You should still be careful. The smile on my face stiffened slightly. A drop in body temperature and cold sweats were normal symptoms when the poison flared up. Come eat. Jia Yunshu took my hand and led me to the dining room. I didn't have much of an appetite. I didn't eat much. I soon put down my chopsticks. Finished eating? Jia Yunshu asked with a slight frown. I'm full. Jia Yunshu looked at me for a moment, then said, I'll take you to the hospital later for a thorough physical examination. I immediately waved my hand in refusal. My body's fine now. There's no need to go to the hospital. Jia Linger tried to persuade me. Brother Wai, you should still get a full checkup. That way we'll all feel more at ease. I said I'm not going. I knew my own condition very well. I'm fine. Seeing that I insisted, Jia Yunshu didn't force me. All right, we'll do as you say. No hospital. Sis, Jia Linger's lips pouted in frustration. How can you indulge Brother Wai in something like this? There must be something wrong with his health. I was a little surprised. Jia Yunshu was unexpectedly easy to talk to today. But the next moment, she said, since you don't want to go to the hospital, I'll have a medical team come to the house later to examine you. It seemed Jia Yunshu had made up her mind to have me examined. I sighed helplessly. Jia Yunshu, you don't need to be so nervous. I'm really fine. Jia Yunshu held my hand. Even if you're fine, you should still get examined. Just treat it as a routine checkup. I pulled my hand out of Jia Yunshu's grasp. I said I won't get examined. Jia Yunshu, don't force me. Ah, why? Jia Yunshu looked at me with conflicted eyes. The more I resisted the examination, the more worried she became about my condition. I took a deep breath and suppressed my irritation. Sorry. I know you're all worried about me, but I'm a doctor too. I understand my own condition. There's no need for another examination. Ah, why? Jia Yunshu wanted to say something, but I interrupted her as soon as she spoke. Jia Yunshu, I actually don't like sweets at all. I don't like strawberries either, and I dislike those designer items. And cars you gave me even more. Do you know that everything you've done lately has put me under a lot of pressure? Jia Linger immediately spoke up. How could that be, Brother Wai? You clearly used to love them. I interrupted Jia Linger. That was because I was often unhappy before. So I wanted to eat something sweet to make myself feel a little better. The room suddenly fell silent. I'm sorry. Jia Yunshu stared at me with guilt in her eyes. She had thought that everything she had done lately was something I liked. She hadn't expected that I not only disliked it, but also felt burdened by it. Ah, why? Jia Yunshu reached for my hand, but I forcefully shook it off. Jia Yunshu, you should know very well that the only reason I came back with you and agreed to live here again was entirely because of the ice jade flower. So no matter what you do, or how well you treat me, I will never fall in love with you again. Absolutely never. My gaze turned cold. Jia Yunshu, stop wasting your effort on me. Jia Yunshu froze. She had never seen me speak so sharply and decisively. The tenderness and affection in her eyes were instantly replaced by overwhelming darkness. Why? Nothing in this world is absolute. Jia Yunshu, don't force me. After issuing that warning, I turned and went back inside. Jia Linger looked at Jia Yunshu's expression, and her heart sank. This is bad. She's really angry. After returning to my room, I immediately began packing my things. Just then, Ellie called. The moment I answered, Ellie said cheerfully from the other end, I heard from Zushi that you're leaving Kyoto. You moved quickly this time. Did you already get the ice jade flower? No. I don't want it anymore. Right now, I only want to get as far away from Jia Yunshu as possible. Even giving up the ice jade flower doesn't matter. Since returning to Kyoto, I had suffered 2 attacks in less than a month. That frequency was far too high. If this continued, even if the pain didn't kill me, it would drive me insane. Hearing that, Ellie asked anxiously, you don't want the ice jade flower anymore. Do you not care about your life? But hearing how determined I sounded, Ellie knew nothing could change my mind. Fine, then I'll wait for you in Jincheng. I hung up. Now that I had decided to leave, no one would be able to stop me this time. In the study, Jia Yunxi stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, watching me drag my suitcase out of the villa. She wanted to bring me back. As long as I stayed by her side, that was enough. Jia Yunxi picked up her phone and was about to make a call, when it suddenly started ringing. She answered the call. Ellie spoke first. I know, the Jia Group plans to expand into the oil market. I happen to have two unused private oil fields. Would you be interested, President Jia? Ellie's heart bled as she made the offer. She refused to believe that Jia Yunxi wouldn't be tempted. Sure enough, Jia Yunxi immediately asked, "What do you want?" Ellie didn't bother with pleasantries. I want the ice jade flower. Ellie's request suddenly made Jia Yunxi realize that she had overlooked something important. The ice jade flower was a medicinal herb, capable of neutralizing countless poisons. Jihuai has been poisoned. Ellie said nothing on the other end. Her silence made Jia Yunxi even more certain of her suspicion. I can give the ice jade flower to Jihuai, but you must answer one question. Ellie gave a surprised sound. She hadn't expected Jia Yunxi to be so agreeable this time. What do you want to know, President Jia? Who does Jihuai love most? Ellie originally wanted to say that Jihuai loved her most, of course. But Jia Yunxi's voice was filled with such murderous intent that Ellie could feel it even through the phone. After thinking for a moment, she changed her answer. The person Jihuai loves most is Ji Ling Shuang. President Jia, I've answered your question. I'll keep my word about the item. Jia Yunxi hung up. Her expression was filled with murderous fury. Meanwhile, I was about to board the plane when several black sports cars sped toward me. Yang Ting got out of the Maybach's passenger seat and took a rectangular box from a bodyguard. She walked straight toward me. I looked at Yang Ting and smiled faintly. Assistant Yang, you won't be able to stop me. Mr. Ji, you've misunderstood. We're not here to stop you. Yang Ting handed me the box. This is something Miss Jia asked me to give you. I had no choice but to let Zhu Shi take it. I'll accept it. Please thank Miss Jia for me. With that, I turned and boarded the plane. It was already 11 o'clock at night when we arrived in Jincheng. After settling Grandpa in, Zhu Shi brought over the gift Jia Yunxi had sent. Boss, what should we do with this? I hesitated. Even the box itself looked expensive. Whatever was inside was probably worth a fortune. I couldn't help wondering what it contained. After a moment's hesitation, I finally opened the box. But the moment I saw what was inside, I froze. I couldn't understand what she was trying to do. Did she think this would make me change my mind and return to her? I let out a bitter smile, unable to describe how I felt. Ellie arrived in Jincheng at noon. While we were having lunch, she wanted to ask about the ice jade flower, but she was afraid I'd find out she'd called Jia Yunxi and accuse her of meddling. She gave me the ice jade flower. I suddenly spoke up. Ellie blinked. Really? I put down my chopsticks, my face full of worry. Ellie, am I a terrible person? Ellie gave a dry laugh. You just realized that. You've been treating me terribly for years. I'm used to it by now. I rolled my eyes. Ellie knew exactly what was bothering me. Jihuai, there's nothing in this world money can't solve. Don't think you owe Jia Yunxi some enormous debt. I gave her to private oil fields. So just consider that payment for the ice jade flower. I nodded. All right, I'll cover the cost. Before I could say anything else, Ellie cut me off. Hurry up and brew the ice jade flower. That evening, I began preparing the medicine. Ellie quietly slipped into the garden and called Jia Yunxi. President Jia, regarding the oil fields, I'll have someone contact you to finalize the transfer another day. No need. Jia Yunxi's cold voice came through the phone. Ellie froze. President Jia, what do you mean? Was this woman planning to go back on her word? HMPH. It was already too late for that. GY was already brewing the medicine. As Ellie was thinking this, Jia Yunxi's voice came through the phone again. I didn't give GY the ice jade flower for the oil fields. Ellie raised an eyebrow. Was this woman still trying to win GY back? Jia Yunxi's cool voice sounded again. I want him to be safe and sound. Ellie was speechless. Sure enough, she still refused to give up on GY. Don't worry, now that GY has left you, he'll definitely be safe and sound. With that, Ellie abruptly hung up. The moment she ended the call, her phone rang again. At first, she saw that it was my number. I was clearly next door. So, why was I calling her? Ellie immediately knew something had happened. She hurried out and rushed into my room. There, she saw me leaning over the toilet, vomiting nonstop. The air was filled with a strong metallic smell of blood. Ellie's face instantly turned pale. I lifted my head and tried to speak, but my stomach suddenly convulsed again, and I vomited another mouthful of dark brown blood. The ice jade flower was fake. My voice was weak and powerless. Ellie immediately rushed me to the hospital, seeing how weak and tormented I looked. Ellie's eyes reddened with fury. "Take good care of Jihuai." She patted Zushi on the shoulder, then turned and walked out. I immediately guessed that she was going to confront Jia Yunshu. She sends someone to bring her back. She acts too impulsively. I'm worried something will happen to her. Zushi acknowledged my order and left the bedroom. Standing in the hallway, he sent Ellie a message. "Take my men with you and kill Jia Yunshu." After standing outside for a while, Zushi returned to the bedroom. "She's already boarded the plane. We can't reach her." The door to the Jia Group office was suddenly pushed open. Yang Ting rushed in and said, "Miss, a 4-seater helicopter just landed on the company's rooftop." A cold glint flashed in Jia Yunshu's eyes. Shen Qianing laughed, her tone full of amusement. "Who has the nerve to invade Miss Xia's territory?" Before Yang Ting could answer, footsteps came from outside, along with the screams of the building's security guards. Yang Ting realized something was wrong. She turned around and saw Ellie approaching with a group of bodyguards. Yang Ting blocked the office entrance. "Ellie, what are you trying to do?" Ellie glared at Yang Ting. "Move aside. Let her in." Jia Yunshu's voice came from inside the office. Ellie walked into the office and immediately pulled out a gun. Shen Qianing was startled and quickly moved. In front of Jia Yunshu, "Ellie, calm down. We can talk this through." Jia Yunshu stared coldly at Ellie and stepped out from behind Shen Qianing. "Kill me. Can the Ainir family bear the consequences?" The temperature in the room seemed to plummet. Ellie laughed. "Jia Yunshu, you gave GY a fake ice jade flower. Do you really think I don't dare kill you?" Jia Yunshu's body stiffened. "What did you say?" "The ice jade flower was fake. GY is lying in bed, barely alive. It's all because of you. Jia Yunshu, you deserve to die." Ellie pulled the trigger without hesitation. "Ms. Jia." Shen Qianing's pupils contracted. Jia Yunshu dodged quickly. The bullet struck the computer behind her, just as Ellie was about to pull the trigger again. A group of heavily armed bodyguards suddenly rushed in from outside. Ellie had only brought 7 or 8 people. Although they were all highly skilled, they were no match for Jia Yunshu's superior numbers. They were quickly subdued. Jia Yunshu stared coldly at Ellie. "How is Ji Huai now?" Ellie sneered. "How is he? If you leave right now, you might still see him one last time." In Jinqing, Jia Yunshu hurried anxiously to the Ji residence. The moment she stepped off the helicopter, Zushi and his men surrounded her. Jia Yunshu glanced at him. "Where is Ji Huai?" Zushi suppressed his anger. "What do you think our boss is? Someone you can meet whenever you please. Get out." There was no way Jia Yunshu would leave. Her heart was nearly bursting with anxiety. Zushi aimed his gun directly at Jia Yunshu's head. "Take one more step, and don't blame me for what happens." The moment he finished speaking, a gunshot suddenly rang out. A bullet struck the gun in Zushi's hand with perfect accuracy. Zushi felt his hand go numb from the impact, and the gun flew from his grip. At the sudden turn of events, the surrounding bodyguards immediately aimed their guns at Jia Yunshu. Seeing this, the men behind Jia Yunshu quickly moved to shield her and drew their weapons. For a moment, both sides stood ready to open fire. "Zushi, stop." My voice suddenly came from inside the house. My voice was very weak, but it struck Jia Yunshu and Zushi like a bolt of lightning. They turned toward me in shock. Supported by a servant, I walked outside. My complexion looked terrible. "What are you trying to do?" I glanced at the 2 groups that could start fighting at any moment and felt a headache coming on. The moment she saw me, Jia Yunshu rushed over like a gust of wind and hugged me tightly, surrounded by her familiar scent. I didn't know why, but my nose suddenly stung with emotion. I asked hoarsely, "Why did you come?" "GY, I missed you so much. I'm sorry. I didn't know the ice jade flower was fake." I nodded slightly. I knew this had nothing to do with her. Given her personality, she either wouldn't give it at all, or once she did, she would never deliberately give me a fake ice jade flower. I was too weak. As she held me, My vision soon began to blur. Gee why, I really missed you. Before I lost consciousness, I could still hear the woman's deeply affectionate words. Only after carrying me back to the bedroom did Jia Yunshu leave. Zushi and Ellie stood in the hallway like the door guardians. When they saw Jia Yunshu come out, their eyes were filled with hostility. Jihuai is asleep. Please take good care of him for the next few days. With that, she went downstairs. Yang Ting had already been waiting downstairs for a long time. After getting into the car, Yang Ting handed her a tablet. This is the source information provided by Solomon's second-in-command. Before the ice jade flower reached them, it had only passed through to people's hands. At this point, Yang Ting paused. The last person was Isaac from the Middle East. He's currently in Wei City. Jia Yunshu said calmly, go to the airport. Yang Ting hesitated, then said solemnly, Miss. Wei City is Isaac's territory. If we go there rashly, we may be at a disadvantage. Besides, he already has a grudge against you. What if? There is no what if. She had to go. She had to bring back the real ice jade flower. The moment Jia Yunshu and her group arrived in Wei City, Isaac learned of it. Soon, he received a call from Jia Yunshu. The moment he answered, Jia Yunshu's emotionless voice came through. Isaac, the ice jade flower is in your possession, isn't it? Isaac froze. Only then did he understand that Jia Yunshu had come for the ice jade flower. 2 months ago, one of his foolish subordinates had seized a shipment belonging to Solomon. Solomon's leader personally came to demand its return. Isaac couldn't afford to offend him, so he returned everything and paid a large sum of compensation to settle the matter. However, among Solomon's shipment was the ice jade flower he had searched for years. He couldn't afford to buy it, so he replaced it with a fake ice jade flower. Solomon's people knew nothing about this. Later, he heard that the ice jade flower had been auctioned off a month ago. Now that Jia Yunshu had come to him, demanding the ice jade flower, it meant she was the one who had bought it at the auction and had already discovered that it was fake. Isaac laughed. Ah, Ms. Jia, you certainly know how to joke. How could I possibly have such a thing? Jia Yunshu didn't waste time arguing with him. Give me the ice jade flower. Name your price. Isaac sneered. In that case, why don't we meet and discuss it properly? Jia Yunshu hung up. As soon as she left the hotel, she ran into Shen Qianing. Ms. Jia, let me meet Isaac in your place. Isaac held a deep grudge against Jia Yunshu. If she went personally, she would definitely be at a disadvantage. Jia Yunshu shook her head. The ice jade flower is in his hands. If I don't go, he won't hand it over. With that, she got into the car. When they arrived, Jia Yunshu was escorted into the bar as soon as she got out. The bar was enormous, with 2 floors in total. The entire first-floor hall was filled with Isaac's men. Yang Ting followed Jia Yunshu inside and immediately sensed the tense atmosphere. The air was thick with the threat of violence. Yang Ting glanced at Shen Qianing beside her and whispered, Miss Shen, if they trap us here right now, what are our chances of getting out unharmed? Shen Qianing glanced at her. Ms. Jia never fights a battle she isn't sure she can win. Jia Yunshu walked up to Isaac. She got straight to the point, the ice jade flower. Isaac burst into laughter. So, Ms. Jia wants the ice jade flower? I can give it to you, but you must agree to 3 conditions. Jia Yunshu glanced at him. Isaac continued first. The shipping route through the East Bay Strait will belong to me from now on. Fine. Jia Yunshu agreed without even blinking. She accepted immediately. Isaac raised an eyebrow, a sinister smile flashing across his face. They all say Ms. Jia is an unrivaled marksman. I don't have many hobbies, but I do enjoy guns. I believe my aim is better than yours. So for my second condition, I'd like Ms. Jia to be my human target. As he spoke, Isaac drew the pistol from his waist and aimed it at Jia Yunshu. Yang Ting's expression changed. She rushed forward. Isaac, don't you dare. Isaac laughed loudly, staring at Jia Yunshu with sinister eyes. That depends on whether Ms. Jia really wants the ice jade flower. Jia Yunshu pushed Yang Ting aside and stood perfectly straight. I accept. Yang Ting cried anxiously. Ms. Jia. Jia Yunshu shot her a cold look. Enough. Yang Ting had no choice. Once her boss made a decision, no one could stop her. Shen Qianing looked at Jia Yunshu, her brows tightly whereupon Ms. Jia is really willing to risk everything for Jihuai. Isaac clapped his hands. Ms. Jia really is bold. Then he raised his gun and aimed directly at Jia Yunshu's heart. He sneered. Ms. Jia, aren't you afraid the shot might kill you? Jia Yunshu raised an eyebrow coldly. An overwhelming aura of authority radiated from her. Do you dare? Isaac's hand froze for a moment. He was actually intimidated by her presence. He truly didn't dare. If Jia Yunshu died on his territory, this place would be razed to the ground within 2 hours. He wasn't foolish enough to provoke that hornet's nest, but that didn't mean he would let her off so easily. Ms. Jia, you really know how to joke. I still have a third condition. How could I let you die so easily? What's so interesting about death? The real fun is making someone wish they were dead. An excited glint flashed in Isaac's eyes. He aimed at Jia Yunshu's right arm and pulled the trigger. A gunshot rang out. Jia Yunshu remained standing straight in place. She neither dodged nor made a sound. Bright red blood slowly trickled down her arm. Yang Ting and Shen Qianing both breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the bullet hadn't struck a vital area. Jia Yunshu ignored her injured arm and asked directly, "What is your third condition?" Isaac smiled and snapped his fingers. One of his men immediately brought over an orange cocktail and placed it before Jia Yunshu. Since you've come to my territory, I should naturally show you some hospitality. Isaac gestured for her to drink. Yang Ting asked warily, "What kind of poison is this?" Isaac admitted it openly. A mocking smile on his face. The ice jade flower could neutralize countless poisons. Jia Yunshu wanted it to save someone important to her, but if she drank this poison, she would have to use the ice jade flower on herself. Isaac opened the box in front of him and showed her the ice jade flower inside. Ms. Jia, as long as you drink this poison, I'll give you the ice jade flower. He wanted to see what Jia Yunshu would choose. Would she save herself or someone else? Ms. Jia, you can't drink it. Yang Ting pleaded anxiously. Shen Qianing stepped forward. I'll drink it for her. Before she could finish speaking, Jia Yunshu had already picked up the glass. Without the slightest hesitation, she tilted her head back and drained the liquid in the glass. Without leaving a single drop, Jia Yunshu placed the empty glass upside down on the table. No emotion could be seen in her cold eyes. The ice jade flower. Isaac narrowed his eyes and looked Jia Yunshu over again, his eyes filled with disbelief. He directly tossed her the box containing the ice jade flower. Jia Yunshu caught the box and opened it. It looked almost identical to the previous flower. The only difference was that this ice jade flower carried a faint floral fragrance. Don't worry, this one is real. Isaac then reminded her, Ms. Jia, don't forget the first condition you agreed to. Jia Yunshu said nothing. Holding the box, she left coldly. We're just letting Jia Yunshu leave like that. Isaac glanced at his subordinate. What else? Keep them here for dinner. The subordinate refused to give up. Why don't we take this opportunity to kill Jia Yunshu? Isaac snorted coldly. Who do you think Jia Yunshu is? The president of the Jia group. That's only her public identity. Her background runs far deeper. Before we could even kill her, I'd probably be killed first. Isaac stared in the direction Jia Yunshu had left, a sinister smile curling at his lips. Still, we gained something valuable this time. Jia Yunshu's weakness has been exposed. After leaving the bar, Jia Yunshu became severely dizzy as soon as she got into the car. Shen Qianing and Yang Ting immediately took her to the hospital. Her wounded arm was still bleeding heavily. She needed surgery to remove the bullet first. Before entering the operating room, Jia Yunshu handed the ice jade flower to Shen Qianing. Qianing, deliver the ice jade flower to Jihuai. Shen Qianing looked at the flower in her hands hesitantly. If I give it to him, what will happen to you? You just drank that poison. Jia Yunshu replied lightly. Isaac wouldn't dare poison me to death. Don't worry. I know that poison won't kill me. At worst, it'll only make me suffer a little. It's nothing serious. When I woke up the next morning, I didn't see Jia Yunshu in the bedroom. After I washed up, a servant brought me breakfast. After eating, I was put on in for drip again. I kept staring at the bedroom door. Several times, I wanted to ask Ellie, but stopped myself. Stop looking. Jia Yunshu left last night. Once you've recovered, We'll return to country. You haven't shown yourself for so long that those old fools think you're dead. They've started making trouble again. I frowned. Is that so? I've been looking for an opportunity to thoroughly deal with those ill-intentioned people within the organization. It really is time for a proper purge. After resting in bed for a day, I had mostly recovered and no longer needed the IV drip. The next day, I stopped resting in the bedroom. After lunch, I asked Sushi, how is the investigation into the ice jade flower going? According to the information we got from Solomon, the real ice jade flower should be in Isaac's hands in Wei City. I sent people there this morning. We should have news later. I nodded. Just as I was about to say something else, a servant came in and said someone was here to see me. The first person who came to mind was Jia Yunshu. Had she returned after being gone for 2 days? But when the servant brought the visitor in, I realized it wasn't Jia Yunshu. It was Shen Qianing. You look well. You must be feeling better. I nodded and asked, why are you here? My gaze drifted behind her. Shen Qianing had come alone. No one else was with her. Shen Qianing handed me a box. This is for you. What is it? I had a vague guess, but I didn't take it. Shen Qianing smiled with her usual carefree expression. Open it, and you'll know. I hesitated for a moment, but eventually opened it. The ice jade flower. She really went to Wei City to find Isaac. Shen Qianing raised an eyebrow. So you've also found out that the real ice jade flower is in Isaac's hands? I nodded, and carefully examined the ice jade flower. It should be real. How did Jia Yunshi manage to get the ice jade flower from Isaac? Shen Qianing replied, she has her own ways. All right, don't dwell on it anymore. My job is to make sure you take it. I nodded. Once the medicine was ready, Shen Qianing left after watching me finish it. Meanwhile, Jia Yunshu developed a fever again. Jia Linger stayed by her bedside to take care of her, hearing her murmur my name in her sleep. She finally couldn't hold back. Jia Linger picked up her phone and recorded a short video of Jia Yunshu calling my name in her sleep. Gritting her teeth, she sent the video to me. Please don't blame me. I'm only doing this because I feel sorry for you. Jia Linger silently prayed that after seeing the video, GY would come back to see her. That way, when her sister woke up and found out what she'd done, she probably wouldn't blame her for acting on her own. Soon, I received a WeChat message from Jia Linger. It was a video. When I opened it, I saw Jia Yunshu murmuring in her sleep. Seeing her pale face, my heart tightened painfully. What happened to her? From the way Jia Yunshu looked in the video, she was clearly sick and unconscious. The video had sound. I turned the volume all the way up, and then I heard Jia Yunshu whisper, GY. She was calling my name. I immediately called Jia Linger. She answered almost instantly, and before I could speak, Jia Linger cautiously asked, Brother GY, did you see the video I just sent? Of course I did. I was frantic. Jia Linger, what's wrong with Jia Yunshu? GY, my sister. She's sick. The doctor has already seen her, and she's taken medicine, but she just isn't getting any better. In fact, she's getting worse. Is she going to die? I was frantic. Don't panic. I'm coming over right now. After hanging up, I immediately told Zushi to prepare the helicopter. The moment Ellie heard, she blocked the doorway. My face darkened. Ellie, move. Ellie was furious. But in the end, she gave in. She came with us. Meanwhile, Jia Linger returned to the bedroom. The moment she walked in, she saw Jia Yunshu sitting up in bed, holding a glass of water. You're awake. Are you feeling better? Jia Yunshu gave a slight nod, setting down the glass. She asked, did you call GY? Seeing Jia Yunshu staring at her coldly, Jia Linger clasped her hands together pleadingly. Sis, I was wrong. I'm sorry, Jia Yunshu cut her off, her voice hoarse. When will GY arrive? Jia Linger froze, then quickly replied. GY said he's on his way, but flying from Jincheng takes at least 2 hours. He'll probably reach Kyoto around midnight. A faint smile flashed across Jia Yunshu's eyes. After a brief moment of thought, she said, don't tell him I've been injured. If he asks, just say I'm sick. Jia Linger nodded repeatedly, okay. None of them remembered that I was a doctor, and a highly skilled one at that. Jia Linger assumed I wouldn't arrive in Kyoto until around 11 or 12 that night, but to her surprise, I arrived just after dinner. The helicopter landed on the helipad in the back garden of the villa, and as soon as I stepped Jia Linger immediately ran over. Brother GY, you're finally here. I nodded, and went straight to the bedroom. The moment I opened the door, I saw Jia Yunshu leaning against the headboard. She glanced at me standing in the doorway. GY had arrived so quickly. He must have come by helicopter. I walked into the bedroom. Aren't you sick? Why aren't you resting properly? In the video Jia Linger had sent me a few hours earlier, she had still been unconscious with a high fever. Had her face not still looked sickly pale, I would have suspected that the video was fake. Jia Yunshu waved her hand. It's only a minor cold. It's nothing serious. Jia Linger was just making a fuss, because her wound had become inflamed and caused a high fever. Her voice was unusually deep and hoarse. I said nothing. I simply stared at her, examining her closely. Since when had her body become so weak that even a minor cold required bed rest? Jia Yunshu raised her chin slightly, the corners of her lips lifting. GY, you came to see me. Her tone carried a hint of smug pride. I stared into her eyes and remained silent for 2 seconds. Then I asked, Jia Yunshu, are you injured? A barely noticeable flicker passed through Jia Yunshu's eyes. She smiled. Do you want me to be injured that badly? I nodded, then looked at her and said, it's good that you're fine. Get some rest. Jia Yunshu suddenly grabbed my hand. GY, stay with me tonight. I can't sleep without you. I laughed angrily, then shook off her hand. The movement pulled at the wound on her right arm, and cold sweat instantly broke out across Jia Yunshu's back. Seeing her wince in pain, I froze. I hadn't even used much force. She was putting on quite a convincing act. A faint smile appeared on Jia Yunshu's face. GY, what should I do? My wound hurts again. With that, she pulled me onto the bed and bit me on the neck. I glared fiercely at her. Jia Yunshu, are you a dog? Jia Yunshu looked at me with a teasing smile. Don't you men all like the loyal dog type of woman?